ever. There's a horse called Utmost Respect, who you remember, and you can tell from that shot his peers have the utmost respect for P. Hannigan.
Yeah, they certainly seem to. This is
don't do that often, the Guard of Honour flat jockeys.
No, they don't. They don't. That's certainly an indication of the respect to which he's held. Right, this is Mahaba, the champ, horse number 6. Ryan Moore for Kevin Ryan. That's an interesting combination.
It is, and that jockey booking will ensure plenty of support for Mahaba, the champ, and it could be a York thing. I snagged a nice win when this horse won here at the May meeting. He hasn't fired since, but it could be a York thing. You know how Kevin Ryan can get his horses primed for this fixture. Forza Orta won for him the other day, but he's not shown a massive amount, either at Epsom 6th, beaten 10, and at Goodwood 10th, beaten almost 10 lengths, and he's got a little bit to find on those runs, but the jockey booking is quite eye-catching. Yeah, those trips down south weren't particularly fruitful. Let's see back up in Yorkshire if he'll go much better. This is horse number 4 in the colours of the King and Queen, Educator, blinkers on for the first time. Ran a good race on the all-weather at Kempton over this particular trip, not too far behind Savvy Knight, who reopposes as well. It's an interesting form line. Yeah, in the royal colours, by the mighty Deep Impact, and form figures of 3-2-3, running pretty well. I was a little underwhelmed by his last run when he didn't really go on with it late on, and I'm not shocked to see blinkers on for the first time. So the long and the short is he needs those blinkers to just enable him to find a little bit extra. Haggis and Marquand combination in very good form here yesterday. Indeed, and they'll be looking to try and replicate that today. This is horse number 8, Toshizu. Johnny Pete is aboard this one, young rider. Roger Fell and Sean Murray now on the licence as well. They train, and this one has only been in their care for one race prior to this. Needs to improve on recent form, though. I think so. He has had a go at a mile and a half, and he ran pretty well when he was 7th in the Wotton Sun Valuable Handicap at Haydock. So Wotton Sun is worse off at the weights today. I'm still not completely convinced about Toshizu at a well-run mile and a half, but he's a handy horse and he looks fine, but he still has a little bit to prove on the score of stamina to me. That's horse number 8. Move on to 7, Savvy Knight. We mentioned this horse in Dispatches a little bit earlier on. This fella has been going quite well over the mile and a half trip, but on the all-weather, Graham. And last turf run, albeit on soft ground, wasn't particularly convincing. Yeah, he ran at this fixture last year. He was in reasonable form, but he did not shine in the Melrose Handicap. His most recent runs, as you say, have been on the all-weather. He got the better of a good scrap with Educator at Kempton in June. 4th and 2nd since, pretty good. How well will he transfer the synthetic form back to the green stuff? Okay, we'll find that out very shortly, but it is a big question mark and is reflected, I think, in his price as well. Horse number 10 is where we're going to be going next, Capital Theory, owned by your economist friend Graham, so you can see where they come up with that particular name. Charlie Johnston is the trainer of this one, another big outsider. Yeah, Dr. Jim Walker is a long-time Hong Kong racing fan, lives a good chunk of his year doing business in Hong Kong, and he's an eminent economist who names most of his horses with economical connotations. Capital Theory is a pretty useful horse, ran well last time, and he's got the added potential advantage of Hong Kong-bound Andrea Atzeni on board. So good luck to Jim and Andrea. Yeah, can't be long before Andrea gets on that flight now. Horse number 14 is the next one we can take a look at. Legendary Day. Oisin Murphy aboard. He's had a fairly quiet week as Oisin. Adrian Keatley trains this one. Good run at Newcastle. That was back in July. That was in a Northumberland Vars, the consolation race for the Northumberland Plate over the 2 miles. 2 miles last time out, not so convincing. Ran okay here behind Ebor-bound Scampi over this trip back at the Dante meeting. He did. That was a good run, and track form's always a plus. He didn't shine last time over 2 miles. Just go back to that Atzeni angle. Has rides booked tomorrow, I think at Newmarket, but I don't see any booked beyond then, so it looks like this might be his penultimate day in Britain. This is Ravenscraig Castle. If you go far enough back through the form book with this one, you can find a 3rd in the 2021 Melrose Stakes. So it's a bit of form from the meeting. Jason Hart with a big ride to come up a little bit later on today gets the leg up on this one. Proud Scotsman, beautiful tartan silks for Ravenscraig Castle. You won't miss him in the run. Not just because he's grey, but because he tends to be a really smooth traveller. But look at those form figures. They tell the tale of a horse who can come there going really well like a winner, but he's not been finding it easy to seal the deal. So do bear in mind his record is one of I think it's fair to say flattering and then often not quite delivering what's promised. But massive day for Jay Hart, who has Highfield Princess, his star performer, as favourite for the Nunthorpe later.
Now, Mr. Curiosity, who we're seeing now, just went down a little bit earlier than the rest of them. Fifth behind Sweet William, which might work out to be quite good form in the Coral Summer Handicap on foul ground at Goodwood last time out, and was a winner at 12 furlongs at Ripon the time before that. Hasn't run on a fast surface for a while, though.
Yeah, he's by Frankel, who's sensational sire and had a big week. The fast surface is a question, and prior to Goodwood I thought I think he needs giving the ground, but on that really heavy ground at Goodwood he travelled very well, so I'm not going to knock him on the score of ground, and for a long way at Goodwood he went like a horse who's still in really good form.
Okay, there is Wootton Sun going down, the horse that would give Paul Hannigan a richly deserved victorious send-off if he could do so. Stall 10 though, Graham, does go forward this horse. We're into a relatively prominent position. Could be a bit tricky for Hannigan to get him near that rail, if indeed he wants to be.
Yeah, I'd love to see him run a blinder here. The fairy tale endings are relatively rare, but they do happen, and he's on a real soldier. This is a very tough, consistent horse. But let's have a quick word with Tom Stanley, who's interviewing Kevin Ryan, who has a couple of lively contenders for this opening race.
Kevin Ryan with me has a couple in this, both of whom have good course form, Kevin.
Yeah, and both will like this quicker ground as well. You know, Mahaba the Champ is, you know, when he won here, when William rode him, he done it very well. We've been waiting for some quick ground for him again now. You know, he just likes top of the ground, and that Moon Rising, you know, bounced back to form last time, and you know, he seems to always run his race here for some reason. So we're hopeful that both horses are well, and hopefully they both run up to their form.
Was it just that with Mahaba the Chap, just ground? Because he, you know, I thought he ran a nice race off, not a very fast gallop when as you say, when he won here, and then just didn't seem to go on. Yeah,
he's really ground dependent. He loves his quicker ground, you know. And I was hoping it wouldn't rain, and I'd say it'll be nice, you know, fast ground out there today, you know.
And how will both of them likely to be ridden?
Well,
leave it up to the
Ryan Moore. I don't tell him how to do. Leave it to the lads, really. You know, all depends how much pace is there, and if they go a good gallop, I'm sure they'll just take their time in them.
Yeah, there are quite a few jockeys in the world who don't really need any instructions, and Ryan Moore is certainly one of those. Kevin Ryan, far too wise to start giving him a long list of things to do in a race. They're assembling down at the start for our first race here on day 3. Should we look at the market, Graham?
We should definitely do that. We'll go top to bottom. That seems to work. Gets through a lot of horses very quickly. One Paradias 13.
17-2 here in the UK.
Overs. Wootton Sun 7.2.
11-2.
3 is a scratch. 4 is Educator, who is 14.
12-1.
Mr. Curiosity is 23.
20-1.
Similar. Mahaba the Champ 10.
15-2.
Slight overs. Savvy Knight 19.
33-1.
Unders. Toshizu 35.
25s.
Slight overs. Big Door 10.
Yeah, been backed a bit here in the UK. Actually, well, just back out again to 8-1 from 15-2.
Slight overs. Capital Theory 23.
4-0, 40-1.
I'd say this is probably going to be about similar. Balance play in the Whirlpool is 4.2.
Yeah, 3-1 here.
Yeah. Dark Moon Rising is 13.
11-1.
Ravenscraig Castle, frustrating but very, very talented, 27.
22-1.
Legendary Day, let's hope it is. Asheen Murphy, 29.
28.
And in Tinso, there are always lots of money for Holly Doyle in the Whirlpool, is 5.
4-1.
Oh, yeah, right, so pretty similar. 1 or 2 overs there, real notable unders in the fancied horses.
The overs, I mean, it's the one I like in the race, Paradias, who I think was 17-2. He's about, what is he in the Whirlpool? He's a bit over that, isn't he?
13.
Yeah, 13. So if I was playing this race to any degree of seriousness, I think he'd be the one I'd back at 13. I think that's a pretty good bet, although he is carrying 9 stone 12. And he was in the best part of that ancient Rome race at Goodwood. He came home very strongly. A couple of his runs at Sandown behind Lord Protector, the one where he finished 5th, he was wide and all over the place. He was conceding loads of ground. He was probably too far forward in the run as well. So I think from stall 5 he should be able to take up a nice position, and he'll do for me. I like Dark Moon Rising, Balance playing in Tinso as well in behind, but I'm hoping Paradias for Alan King and Ross O'Ryan will run a good race in the Open.
Yeah, I have similar numbers. Really not that crazy about just getting stuck into the win market. I thought 4 or 5, maybe 4 chances. There might be a little bit of Quinella potential. Nothing dramatically original here, but I think balanced play is so progressive, and Beckett keeps getting a bit more improvement out of these horses. He's got to be in there. I am a Wootton Son fan for more reasons as one. I'm looking at a shot of Paul Hannigan down at the start. I swear he's fairly well. I'm going to say he's very emotional. I know this fella well. I've known him well for a long time, and I can sense by his expression that there's a lot of stuff hitting home for him at the moment. Good luck to Paul. In Tinso, I know you like, so do I. And Paradius, I quite like. I would put in one minor good word for. Can you see Hannigan? See what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what the lads are saying to him there, but there's clearly a lot of emotions going through his head at the moment. Yeah. And Big Door has been off the track a long time, but I always think when horses have been off the track a year or more and they rock up in a good race, Connections must think this horse is fit and ready to go, because you can clearly set a horse back if you overface them after a long break.
Well, I read an interview with James Ferguson actually last night going through this race, and I wouldn't say he was bullish, but he wasn't particularly pessimistic either. He was perfectly keen on the idea that the horse will go well, Big Door, and has, I think, if memory serves me, gone okay off absences in the past, so we'll see. And stall one, absolutely ideal.
Hannigan's a mover in the Whirlpool, 5.8 now, John, really well backed. Don't know whether that's reflected in Britain, but sentiment doesn't tend to move Whirlpool markets, but names do, and stories do, don't they? And stars do. We've seen it with Holly Doyle. We always see it with Ryan Moore. And maybe people latching on to this old firm. Richard Fahey. He's had over 2,000 winners, Paul Hannigan. Nearly half of them were supplied by his old ally Richard Fahey, who nominated Paul as a potential champion jockey while he was still an apprentice. Paul said, no pressure, boss. Thanks a lot. He didn't win one title, he won two.
And the story as well is interesting, because he didn't start riding horses till his late teens, did he?
Mid-teens, perhaps. Yeah. Mid-teens. He used to ride out a yard near where I'm from, Terry Caldwell in Warrington. And he says he was a little bit too small to play football for Liverpool, which was plan A. Plan B worked out all right, John.
Certainly did. Yep, dual champion jockey and many big wins. Tagruda in the Oaks is John, classic as well.
The way things are going, you might get a game for Liverpool,
Well, you never know. Anyway, there's about 5 left to load for the opener, Wootton Son being one of them. Gone.
Yeah, good luck to Hannigan. Good luck to everyone here. Yesterday, I think, was a tough day, John. Point Linus would have made it much better, but I thought the programme yesterday was double hard. Today it's really seductive, this programme. It's got something for everyone. High quality racing, deeply competitive markets. Good luck. The first of 7 is upon us, and I think the man to call them is Mike Cattermole. Good luck, Mike.
He's set now. They're all set, and away they go. Ravenscraig Castle slowly out of the gates then for the Sky Bet handicap, this heritage handicap over a mile and a half, worth £120,000 in the pot. On the wide outside, Savvy Knight broke well for Danny Tudhope. Little trio racing wider apart from them includes Capital Theory and Toshizu as well. On the inside, Paradius running a bit free out in front is the overall leader, though. Leads by about 4 lengths at this stage. Pink Jacket, Mr. Curiosity, Handy, and Tinzo the Grey is next. And then comes Bag Door in the terracotta jacket with a black cap. On the outside, Capital Theory. In the middle of the pack as well, on the outside there, that's Wootton Son and Paul Hannigan, the red and black colours there on his final ride here. On the inside then comes the grey Ravenscraig Castle, who's recovered well. The Raw Runner Educator behind, with Mahaba the Champ together there with Dark Moon Rising at the rear of the field. They're about to head past the 7 furlong marker over on the far side of the course, with a good 10-12 lengths perhaps between first and last. And it's Paradius and Ross Orion the leaders. From on the outside, Savvy Knight and Danny Tudhope. Close up in third, Mr. Curiosity for David Allen, with Capital Theory on the outer for Andrea Atzini. Holly next on the grey and Tinzo, followed on the inside by Bagdoor, and then getting a little bit closer on the outside, Paul Hannigan in the red jacket on board Wootton Son. Ravenscraig Castle next to the rail, Toshizu next, Educator, and then Dark Moon Rising on the rail. Balance play, couldn't see him early on. He's out towards the rear, being chivied along a bit now. Mahaba the Champ will whip them in as they straighten up now for the judge. Half a mile left to travel here in the Sky Bet Handicap. Down the home straight, Paradias out in front then from Mr. Curiosity. On the outside in third then is Savvy Knight. In Tinso's under a bit of a drive in fourth, Capital Theory, Legendary Day. Wotton Sun is trying hard under Paul Hannigan on the outside. He's got a lot to do though for that fairy tale ending. They're coming inside the final 2.5 furlongs now. Paradias maintains this gallop, edging across towards the far rail, but he's clear by about 2.5 lengths. In second still Mr. Curiosity. On the wide outside is Legendary Day. Nothing much else staying on, with the exception perhaps of Dark Moon Rising and Mahaba the Champ ahead of him. They're racing inside the final furlong. It's all about the change, and Mahaba the Champ and Ryan Moore have come from a mile back here to take this. Mahaba the Champ goes on to win from Backdoor in second. A good comeback. Legendary Day, then Paradias, followed by Mr. Curiosity, and in Tinso and Paul Hannigan in the end. Well held on Wotton Sun as we bid him good luck and farewell.
Mahaba the Champ has won the opener. There was a bit of money for this horse late as well. 12's down to 8.5 at the close. Has beaten Backdoor into second. Legendary Days ran a good race for third. And I think Paradias has got fourth place there ahead of Mr. Curiosity. But Ryan Moore has struck early, teaming up here with Kevin Ryan with Mahaba the Champ. That's only his fourth run of the season, second win. As Mike Cattermole touched upon in the call, he came from a long way back.
Away they go. Ravenscraig Castle slowly out of the gates then for the Sky Bet Handicap, this Heritage Handicap over 1.5 miles, worth £120,000 in the pot. On the wide outside, Savvy Knight broke well for Danny Tudhope. Little trio racing wider apart from them includes Capital Theory and Toshizu as well. On the inside, Paradias running a bit free out in front is the overall leader though, leads by about 4 lengths at this stage. Pink Jacket, Mr. Curiosity handy, and Tinso the Grey is next. And then comes Backdoor in the terracotta jacket with the black cap. On the outside, Capital Theory. In the middle of the pack as well, on the outside there, that's Wotton Sun and Paul Hannigan, the red and black colours there on his final ride here. On the inside then comes the grey Ravenscraig Castle, who's recovered well. The Raw Runner Educator behind, with Mahaba the Champ together there with Dark Moon Rising at the rear of the field. They're about to head past the 7 furlong marker over on the far side of the course, with a good 10-12 lengths perhaps between first and last. And it's Paradias and Ross Orion the leaders. From on the outside, Savvy Knight and Danny Tudhope. Close up in third, Mr. Curiosity for David Allen, with Capital Theory on the outer for Andrea Atzini. Holly next on the grey and Tinso, followed on the inside by Backdoor, and then getting a little bit closer on the outside, Paul Hannigan in the red jacket on board Wotton Sun. Ravenscraig Castle next to the rail, Toshizu next, Educator, and then Dark Moon Rising on the rail. Balance play, couldn't see him early on. He's out towards the rear, being chivied along a bit now. Mahaba the Champ will whip them in as they straighten up now for the judge. Half a mile left to travel here in the Sky Bet Handicap. Down the home straight, Paradias out in front then from Mr. Curiosity. On the outside in third then is Savvy Knight. In Tinso's under a bit of a drive in fourth, Capital Theory, Legendary Day. Wotton Sun is trying hard under Paul Hannigan on the outside. He's got a lot to do though for that fairy tale ending. They're coming inside the final 2.5 furlongs now. Paradias maintaining this gallop, edging across towards the far rail, but he's clear by about 2.5 lengths. In second still Mr. Curiosity. On the wide outside is Legendary Day. Nothing much else staying on, with the exception perhaps of Dark Moon Rising and Mahaba the Champ ahead of him. They're racing inside the final furlong. It's all about the change, and Mahaba the Champ and Ryan Moore have come from a mile back here to take this. Mahaba the Champ goes on to win from Backdoor in second. A good comeback.
6, 9, 11 and 5, the 1, 2, 3, 4 there in the end. Mr. Curiosity just chinned 14 and 5, sorry, 14 in third, and then 5 was fourth. Paradias just chinned there into fifth. And interesting run from Mahaba the Champ, because they weren't going particularly quick for a large chunk of that race, yet he was held up out the back by Moore, but he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, Kevin Ryan said you don't tell Ryan Moore what to do, so Ryan promptly held this horse up stone cold last in what seemed to be a tepidly run race. But it's a feel thing with riders like that, and he felt he was perfectly comfortable in that position, and he scythed his way through. Paradias ran a belter. He was given a very polished ride. Those splits gave him his chance. Backdoor after the long break, excellent performance. Likewise, legendary day. Paradias might be slightly better back at a somewhat shorter trip. 1 or 2 disappointments. Balanced play, I think, heads the list. The grey horse in Tinsel there is Renault K, but I thought he was a bit fresh and a bit keen in the early stages, John, in those tepid fractions. Left of picture to Shizu, third from left, Austrian Theory, Capital Theory, excuse me, never really promised to land a blow. But look at Ryan Moore just weaving his way through, nothing hurried, nothing rushed in any way. Paul Hannigan didn't get an easy trip on Wotton's Son. That's by the by now. He's had a fantastic career and he will be cheered all the way back to the weighing room, I suspect.
Mahaba the champ, though, gets the job done and has scored pretty comfortably.
Ryan at York.
Yeah.
He winds them up for York. They tend to have, how shall we say, a bit of downtime in between. He wasn't that flash on 2 starts since May, but Kevin Ryan said he'll relish this fast ground, and we've got Ryan Moore aboard. Job done. Again, his second big handicap winner of the week, Kevin Ryan.
Yeah, and it can't be stressed enough what a good ride that was, because there'll be plenty of jockeys who'd have been very concerned at their position given where the race was going, but not Ryan Moore.
One of my stats of the day, John.
Go on.
You like this one. Mahaba the champ, we've only had 15 races this week. He becomes the 4th horse who was unplaced in the quagmire at Goodwood to come on and win at York. That seems
tremendous stat.
Yeah, it's notable, isn't it? We did flag it up at the start of the season, start of the year, that some of the Goodwood form might not be replicated. Ryan Moore is standing by. Big day for him. It started perfectly. Mahaba, the champ.
Yeah, well, we're going to grab a word with Ryan Moore now on the board on day 3 here at York. Ryan, congratulations. Always confident you were going to pick up there.
Not really. He's a bit edgy in the gates and didn't get away clean. Ended up having to be right at the back. Pace wasn't that hard early, but we stepped on it early enough in the straight and just allowed him to get comfortable, and he finished off well. He picked up well. Nice little horse.
How's the ground today?
It's looser. It's still fast ground, but it's breaking up a bit now.
Okay. I know that this is Mahaba the champs and your moment, but I'm sure you won't mind me asking you for a word on Paul Hannigan, who received a lovely round of applause parading before the race, and that was his final ride. Your recollections of riding with Paul through the years?
Yeah, no, obviously Paul started a couple of years before me. He's always been there. He's had a wonderful career. He's champion jockey twice and won classics, and he's had a great career. It'd be sad to see him go, but he seems like he's ready, so I wish him all the well for the future.
Thanks for answering that, and well done today, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, Ryan Moore, who has ridden the first winner. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but the eagle-eyed amongst us, I might have noticed the quarter marks on that horse, Wotton's. I think they read Goodbye Paul. If they did, hats off to the groom. That's an excellent bit of grooming there with that runner. Right, unofficially, 85 and 35.50 the winner, Mahaba the champ. The runner-up was number 9. That was Bagdoor at 34.50. Third, number 14, Legendary Days, ran a big race at 108.50, and fourth there, number 5 in the end, and that was Mr. Curiosity. The Quinella, 516, forecast 1,231. The Tierce, 38,096. The Trio, 9,505. The QQP, 6 and 9, 206. 6 and 14, 543.50. And 9 and 14, 658.50. 26,628 for the first 4. 575,452 for the quartet. 6, 9, 14 and 5. There is the winner. Coming back to the winner's enclosure, Mahaba the champ, Kevin Ryan the winning trainer. So good start to the day for the team there, and a winner in the colours of Jabba Abdullah. He's had many good horses down through the years. I guess the one that really does stand out is Yumzane, 3 times a runner-up in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, a race that we will be bringing you, of course, on the World Pool later on in the year. So you can look forward to that. They've weighed in 85 and 35. I'll go through these again. 85 and 35.50 the winner, 34.50 and 108.50 the placings. Fourth, number 5. Quinella, 516. Forecast, 1,231. The Tierce, 38,096. And the Trio, 9,505. They've weighed in for the opener. Mahaba the champ. getting his head in front. Ryan will ride a Broom coming up in the next. It is the Lonsdale Cup. We'll get to those details very shortly, of course. Ryan with some choice rides today, as is usually the case. The first four, 26,628. Broom's currently at 4.5, 575,452 for the quartet there. 2 minutes 30.04. 2 minutes 30.04. It's Philip Robinson again. He's been busy. 1.5 lengths by a half. 1.5 lengths by a half. Philip, who now manages the interests of a number of Middle Eastern-based owners, and Jabir Abdullah is one of them. So nice vase heading the way of Jabir Abdullah there, winning owner of Mahaba the Champ. Kevin Ryan has got a winner on the board. Kevin, who traditionally does very well at this course, wouldn't train a million miles away, so we're always keen to send runs. He runs Queen Me in the same colours in the Nunthorpe later on at a big price. James Doyle, who's been in good form, will take the ride on board that one. But we've got plenty of good racing to come before the Nunthorpe, and up next we've got the Stayers feature of the week. It is the Lonsdale Cup. If you're a fan of cup races, then this will be plenty of enjoyment for you. It is over 2 miles or thereabouts, just slightly extended actually, 3,261 metres, so just slightly above 2 miles there. Let's look at the course. They'll do just over a full circuit. Third of 7 going to post here for this one. Quickthorn, who we saw in such swashbuckling style at Goodwood, will line up in this as well. Courage Mon Ami, the winner of the Ascot Gold Cup, Frankie Dettori drawn 1. Quickthorn, Tom Marquand, Goodwood Cup winner in 7. Broom, big winner in Dubai earlier this year, Ryan Moore drawn 4. Coltrane, Oisin Murphy in 5. Gavalotta is Andrea Atzani, soon to be Hong Kong based Andrea Atzani, drawn 2. Nate the Great, Harry Davis, big ride for Harry, drawn 6. And River of Stars, Ross Orion in 3. Rides that one for Rafe Beckett, who's been in such good form of late. But a good little race, this one coming up. Really good race, in fact. Plenty of quality on show. Courage Mon Ami is the favourite on the World Pool at 3.1. Gavalotta, his career best performance came on his only previous visit to York when landing a Group 2 here in May. This galloping track clearly suits him. He's a handy horse, this fellow, and that run that we allude to came when beaten Eldar Eldarov in the Yorkshire Cup at 14 to 1, so he's a decent price. He could only manage to finish 5th behind Quickthorn at Goodwood, though that said, there was only one horse in the race throughout the majority of it. And he was beaten 6.5 lengths, but he's got some handy form in the book, this fellow. Mustn't forget he was 3rd in a St Ledger as well, so he's got classic form on his CV. And he's got a very honest and consistent sort of profile, this guy. He's a 4-time winner from 11 all up, and clearly likes it around here, and I think the sort of the nature of York will suit him. And look, he's a fair price as well currently. He's 10s and 2.4 on the World Pool. You could certainly do a lot worse than that this afternoon, but we've got some key races for you, and we are going to start with Quickthorn.
He's still miles clear of Coltrane and Mostly Cloudy. Tashcan is boxing on at the 1 pace, and it's Quickthorn down towards the last furlong, still with a commanding advantage over Coltrane and Mostly Cloudy. They're chasing shadows in behind, chasing in vain. Quickthorn from the front, ease down to complete the hat-trick and win the Lonsdale Cup in great style. Very close for second between Coltrane and running on.
Giavolotto, no headway. Emily Dickinson looks beaten, then Enemy and Ocean Wind as Marquand kicks on again on Quickthorn, racing inside the final furlong and a half. Has he stolen the Goodwood Cup? He is still a long way in front of Coltrane, and then came Eldar Eldarov. Courage Mon Ami trying to stay on, then Giavolotto and Lone Eagle. They're well inside the final furlong, and it's Quickthorn who's still out on his own. He's galloped them into submission behind. What a great ride from Tom Marquand on Quickthorn, who wins the Ulster Cup, Goodwood Cup Cup. It's Quickthorn in front, a real bunch-up. Goes in, raining the green, trying to get going. Courage Mon Ami is also staying on, looking to angle between rivals as Coltrane has now gone on for a Lone Eagle. Here comes Frankie on Courage Mon Ami, though, building up a big-looking effort. They go inside the last now. Courage Mon Ami draws on turns with Coltrane. Courage Mon Ami and Coltrane will battle out the Gold Cup. Coltrane coming back for more on the inside. Courage Mon Ami, though, under Frankie, just proving the stronger on the run for the line. And Courage Mon Ami under Frankie has won.
They're followed then back by River of Stars and Peripatetic. Sumo Stam has got them all cooked as they run down to the final furlong. Another inspired ride by Tom Marquand on a stamina-laden filly here. Sumo Stam is now 8-10 lengths clear. River of Stars running on into second, and Tom Marquand, who lifted the Goodwood Cup in similar fashion on Quickthorn, repeats the dose in the Lily Langtree, this time on Sumo Sam. River of Stars second.
Yeah, River of Stars, who is currently at 12s on the World Pool. Nice touch here from York Racecourse, a presentation for the outgoing Paul Hannigan, who has had his final ride on board Wootton's Son. Unsuccessful, however, in the first, but nice to see Paul being honoured there. And I read somewhere on social media, I think he had well over 1,000 rides at York, and I think it was 95 winners he will finish on at York. So 95 Naves Meyer winners there for Paul Hannigan, and something he can be very proud of amongst many other achievements. Of course, the list far too long for us to even rattle through. So obviously a twice champion jockey and many Group 1s along the way as well. So we wish Paul all the best for the future, and the Lonsdale Cup is our next contest coming up here this evening. So a race in which Frankie Dettori has really made his own in recent years. He's actually won this race 7 times, Frankie. First off with good old Sergeant Cecil in 2006, and obviously Stradivarius won it 3 times as well. He won it on Max Dynamite and Opinion Poll, who was also a dual winner of the race. So Frankie rides Courage Mon Ami, who won at Royal Ascot, and clearly a horse that stays very well. 3.2 is favourite on the World Pool. Coltrane well fancied at 3.7. 4.8 then about Quickthorn. 5.4 good old Broome. Turns up to all these big meetings, doesn't he, Broome? And it's bigger prices the others. Gavalotta at 8.7, bit of money trickling in for him now, having been at 10s. There are the reference odds on screen for you. So the favourite is bang on the money, both here in the UK and on the World Pool, 3.2. You're getting you're taking unders about Broome. He's currently at 9.5 over in the UK, only 5.4 here. Coltrane is on the exact same quote there at 3.7. And you're getting a little bit of overs, about 5 for Gavalotta as well. Right, I think we're going to hear from Kevin Ryan now, who claimed the first race at York's Day 3 meeting. And it was Mahaba the Champ who managed to score in the first. Ryan Moore was the man on board, and Ryan will hopefully be looking forward to more success throughout the course of the afternoon. But I think we can hear from Kevin Ryan now.
Won't be mentioning Stewart's inquiries this time around. It was a good, clean fight. Mahaba the champ has won, and stepping up to a trip that he got well in the end.
Got really well, and in fairness, Ryan said he might get a bit further in time. He said maybe he needs to relax a little bit more early. He just jumped a little bit awkward, and he said he just didn't go as fast as he thought he might go. So he may get a fantastic ride. You know, if he finished 4th, it was still a fantastic ride.
Go and describe what you liked about it.
Well, the race straight away wasn't panning out right for him. He was running a little bit keen with him, but you could see that he was letting him fill up all the way around the bend into the straight, and he was in no rush to get going. And and that's why the horse finished out so well. And I was always confident from 2 down. You know, you just know with him that he's got enough horse underneath him when he's that confident in himself. You know. And
when the horse burst through, it was really decisive, wasn't it? It was all over.
Yeah, he won really well. He got up through the line really well, and you know, we've got the option of stepping him up and trip at some stage.
Yes.
We won't be in a hurry to do that. There's probably no need to do it. Maybe that's something that we can look at next year.
Well, there's quite a nice sort of programme of quite valuable handicaps in that kind of area, isn't there? So you can probably presumably exploit those.
Yeah, we're getting lucky enough now. We're getting some more horses that, you know, I suppose I've always been sort of pigeonholed with sprinters, really, you know, but we're getting more horses, staying type horses, which is great. We love our sprinters, and we've horses now over a variety of trips, and it's nice to have them horses.
Absolutely. I've got no doubt that our viewers know that you're very versatile as a trainer, but I am about to ask you about a couple of sprinters. This is Jahangir, first of all, in the Jim Crack. Tell me about him. Now, he won at Ayr quite impressively, building on his debut, but we haven't seen him since the end of June. What's been going on?
No, he was quite an immature horse, but he was quite a, sort of a fresh horse in the mornings, and I just felt he was going to learn more by going to the races and staying at home, and we knew we were going to do no harm by doing that, and get the education into him. Obviously he's having to step up a fair bit here today, and as we all know, he's a brother of Hella Zain, but I think we're sort of dipping our toe in the water just to find where we are with him. You know, he doesn't do an awful lot at home. You know, he's a horse that you wouldn't want to be overdoing at home. But he's in great form, so looking forward to seeing him run, to be fair.
Okay. And then you've got Queen Me in the Nunthorpe trying 5 furlongs for the first time. Talk me through that.
Yeah, she's, in fairness, Jim Crowley, when he rode her, and he said he actually told me to put her in at Goodwood and put her in here. He says she's loads of speed, and but she likes fast ground, so obviously we had to miss Goodwood because of that, because of the soft ground. She's in great form, and she has got a lot of speed, so we've always held her in high regard, so I'm very hopeful that she'll run a big race.
And she ran really well in the Lowther, the race that her family virtually own.
Absolutely, you know, she jumped the road here that day and lost a bit of momentum, and you know, maybe looked a bit unlucky on the day, but you know, she's filly we've always liked.
Okay, well, it could be the start of a very big day. Best of luck for the rest of it, and congratulations on your second winner of the week here.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, lovely to hear from Kevin Ryan there, and he's going to have a few chances and a few darts still to fire at the board for the rest of the afternoon, but he's on the score sheet with Mahaba the Champ. We are some 10 minutes out from the first of our group races here. This Group 2 Lonsdale Cup, and the favourite is Courage Mon Ami at 3.1 to 1.6 is his quote at this stage. John and Thady Gosden, his trainer. Frankie Dettori will be on board. Coltrane certainly pretty firm in the market here at 3.8. He could be the biggest challenger, I think, to Courage Mon Ami. Obviously there's a distinct sort of angle into this race with Quickthorn and what pace he will go. But I did think Coltrane, who's been racing very well so far this season, will certainly be able to make his presence felt. So there's good old Broome making his way into the parade ring, and well, Broome there, chaps, he's as good a place to start as any. What a wonderful horse he's been.
Yeah, welcome back. We're on to the Lonsdale Cup, the big race for the stayers. They're in the parade ring as well. Looks like horse number 3 that we can see at the moment, which is Broome, of course, representing Aidan O'Brien, with Ryan Moore atop, Graham, and has got bits and pieces of form, very good form over the 2 miles, but has got a bit to find with 1 or 2 of the principals here.
Agreed. He has a bit to find with a handful of these, both on the Ascot Gold Cup form over a longer trip and on Goodwood Cup form over today's trip. But we know he's a really smart horse. It's just those, it's not one horse he's got to get past, John, is it? It's 2, 3, maybe 4 horses. I'm thinking Quickthorn, I'm thinking Courage Mon Ami, I'm thinking Coltrane, etc. So he needs to step it up, and I couldn't be really confident that he will do here, could you?
Horse number 1 is Courage Mon Ami, of course, the Gold Cup winner at Ascot, and then went to Goodwood in the softish ground in that race. The Quickthorn bossed from the front and never really got into it. 1 or 2 others are in that category as well, mind, but he didn't.
Yeah, his Gold Cup win on just his 4th start, very, very rare for a horse to do that. Came a long way in a short time. Is high class form. It makes him the joint highest rated horse in the race with Quickthorn and Broome, for what it's worth. But he didn't really fire. It was a weird race. We'll flesh out the weirdness of the Goodwood Cup in a minute, but he didn't really quicken, and I like the fact that they're being aggressive with him, John, to go Goodwood Cup on your fourth start, and then, Ascot Gold Cup on your fourth start, and then Goodwood soon after, and York soon after that. They're not keeping him idle. He looks absolutely fine. I did think the Goodwood Cup performance was maybe suggestive that Ascot had left a little mark.
Well, that could be possible. We'll find out a little bit later. Now, here we go. Quickthorn, of course, who led them a merry dance in this race last year and in the Goodwood Cup. Can he do the same thing again today?
Well, he can. If the other riders are asleep at the wheel for a third time and they let this horse loose on the lead, then they are taking a big risk, because he's just one of those horses, if he gets into a rhythm under the canny Marquand on his own, he just keeps rolling. We'll touch on the splits he set last year when he was utterly dominant. Did he win by 14? I think he did. Coltrane and Co could never get within cooey of him. He is so dangerous, and although it was easy ground at Goodwood the time before, he'd won here over mile 6, beating a pretty good horse this Ra on Good to Firm.
Well, we'll get into all that shortly, but it's interesting how very similar that Goodwood run was to the Lonsdale from last year. Horse number 4 is Coltrane, who of course has been a high class performer for a while now, won the Sagaro Stakes this year, and was second behind Courage Mon Ami when he looked all over the winner of the Ascot Gold Cup, but was out battled in the end. And then Oisin Murphy was just too confident of catching Quickthorn and didn't in the closing stages of the Goodwood Cup.
Such a likeable horse, but Oisin Murphy made a rod for his own back before the Goodwood Cup, because he said, I don't want Frankie Dettori to have a target on my back. Therefore, he was thinking more of Courage Mon Ami than Quickthorn. Quickthorn stole away with the Goodwood Cup as a result. Today, Murphy needs the bullseye on Marquand's back and not to let Quickthorn get too far away. If he doesn't, Coltrane can go extremely close here.
He certainly can. I hope that he will as well. I've got him on top. Right, we've got Giavellotto now for Marco Botti and Andrea Azzeni, so the Italian combination. Of course, the winner here of the Yorkshire Cup back at the Dante meeting, and relatively lightly raced since.
Yeah, York's a good slot for Giavellotto, I think, and he's not got as many miles on the clock as a few of these. The rating is 113, tells you that he's got a couple of lengths to find, but he was third in a St Leger last year. He won the Yorkshire Cup, receiving £5 from Elder Eldrov that day, but York's a great slot for him. Fifth at Goodwood was fine, but he was in that schmozzle of horses who all came calling too late, so I don't want to read too much into the way the placed horses run at Goodwood. The York form is probably the key bit of form for this fella.
Yep, and it was a pretty solid effort, a good figure as well that he ran on that occasion, something around about what's actually required in this race, which is of course the same course and distance, so he'd be foolish to rule him out. We move on to horse number 6 now, Nate the Great, who is actually rated 109 and was 5th in the Gold Cup at Ascot. Prior to that was second in the Henry II Stakes, a rather falsely run Henry II Stakes at Sandown. Needs to find a bit on all-known form, Graham, but not a massive amount.
I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. I think he's Balding's second string. Coltrane to me seems the better. He ran well. You did right in the Gold Cup, but he still has round about 8 lengths to find with Courage Mon Ami and Coltrane, and I don't see where he's going to find that form myself.
Be interesting to see what they do tactically as well with him. Maybe they might want him in there to rough up Quickthorn a bit, or certainly make sure that Quickthorn can't just set fairly languid sectionals at the head of affairs, and to say we'll come to that shortly.
That's interesting, but if I was Mildmay Racing and DH Caslan, I would not be too chuffed if my horse Nate the Great was sent forward as a stalking horse to rough up Quickthorn. Let's see how they go, but however it drops, you would think that Nate the Great is up against it a bit here.
This is River of Stars, rated 106. Ross O'Ryan and the extremely informed Rafe Beckett team up. He was second behind Sumo Sam in another race that was kind of dominated from the front.
Yeah, it looks like she's in for a hard shift here. First of all, it's 2-mile debut. Secondly, she's had a few chances at mile 6. She's achieved a rating of 106, but that's double digits shy of what's going to be needed here. One of these 118 horses is going to run to that mark or better. Yeah, maybe all of them.
Yeah, so certainly River of Stars looks to be up against it from that perspective. Right, we can hear from Marco Botti, who trains Giavellotto, the winner of the Yorkshire Cup here 2 starts ago back in May. What does he expect from this horse today?
What's he like? Quite good, a good temperament?
Yeah, he gets a little bit on his toes, beforehand. He used to actually run in the hood, so recently in the last 3 rounds, we, just wears the red hood to the start, and then he seems fine. He's handling well, and he's in good form. I wish we had a couple of showers last night, so we missed that. But look, it's a track he won here early in the season, and it's a competitive race. But it's still a lightly race this year, so finger crossed he runs well.
You just put a line through last time.
I thought he ran well, Goodwood, to be honest. He wasn't, obviously a quick turn. He just got an advantage, and he finished 5th, beaten less than a length, and probably on the day the ground was a little bit too soft for him. He doesn't want a soft ground, but either not too quick. But I thought he ran a respectable race. So. If he repeated that form, he should be thereabout.
What would he like ideally to happen in this race ahead of him? Because I take it you'll be patient enough with him?
Look, he travels well, and I don't think there is any issue. It should be a genuine pace. It's only a small field, so we just leave it to Andrea to decide where he's comfortable, and that's basically, it's very uncomplicated in the race.
Thanks, Marco. Good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, Marco Botti, who trains Giavellotto. They are down at the start. We can see Broome in shot there at the moment. What are your numbers here, then, Graham?
Yeah, it's not especially original, and in terms of the win market, I think a huge amount depends on the tactical nature of the race. I think you'll agree. So I'm going to go with Coltrane. I'd be annoyed if he were to win a big race like this and I'd deserted him, because I know he's bang up to this level, and I know things haven't gone his way in this race last year and at Goodwood. So I'll go Coltrane on top and hope that they don't let the canny Marquand loose on Quick Thorn. I'm going to keep Quick Thorn in for second, because I don't think he's fluked these big races. I just think he's a really good horse who's right on his game now. Courage Mon Ami and Giavellotto, but effectively I think I'd be happy to take 3 against the field and hope that we can bag the queue here with Coltrane on top ahead of Quick Thorn and the Gold Cup winner Courage Mon Ami. But Stradivarius used to rule this place and this race, but this is every bit as intriguing because of the tactical element. In terms of the positional jockey battle here, that there's not a more seductive race all week. It
is fascinating. We'll go through exactly the same numbers in the same order as well, so a bit of unanimity here in the studio. Last year, though, Quick Thorn ran 13.63, 12.93, 12.77.
12. Look at these. You're at 12.5, 12.9, 12.5, 12.6, 12.4, 12.2. It's metronomic, almost hypnotic, and the others seemed hypnotised by the rhythm he got into.
And he came home at 100% of his average speed, so he wasn't
super efficient.
Yeah, exactly. So he was running efficient sectionals and not being challenged on them at all. So this time round, if he's going to run those sectionals, someone needs to be closer to it.
Yeah, exactly. And are we getting furlong by furlong splits here? I think we are.
That one there, but we also get quarter by quarter.
Okay, well, if you're looking at the furlong splits and he's clear, and he doesn't go 3 or 4 clear Quick Thorn, he can get 8, 10, 12 clear. If he's clear and going 12.5, 12.6, 12.6, 12.8, 12.6,
pack up now.
you know the rest are cruising for a major bruising. So Murphy, Moore, all the other jockeys here, they have to be well aware of the need to keep closer tabs on Monsieur Marquand and the relentless Quick Thorn. Here we go.
The Bees Hamilton Lonsdale Cup of 2023 lined up, and away they go. Nate the Great emerged out of the stalls first, racing wider. Quick Thorn in the hands of Tom Marquand. Tom having a look across there, up the inside there, the filly River of Stars in the black jacket. And interesting that Tom Marquand in no great hurry to cut across, but now he does so as they go past the judge with a circuit to go. It's Quick Thorn who establishes the lead. River of Stars and Nate the Great just ahead of Coltrane in 4th place, with Giavellotto on the inside of Broome, and Courage Mon Ami in the hands of Frankie Dettori. The Gold Cup winner is held up in last place, about 7 lengths behind the speed as they move across towards the far side of the Knavesmire here. So Quick Thorn, who was a revelation 12 months ago in this, they never laid a glove on him. He leads by just over a length then to River of Stars in 2nd place, with close up on the outside Nate the Great and his stable companion Coltrane on the inner in the green and white hoops. Broome is next, Ahead then of Giavolotto, the Yorkshire Cup winner, and the Ascot Gold Cup winner, Courage Mon Ami, in last place. Going across towards the far side, past the Dante Stakes start, the Jubbmonte International start then. Just under a mile and a quarter left to travel here in this Group 2 Lonsdale. And still Quickthorn being held together in front though by Tom Marquand. He's certainly not going flat out at this stage. They're racing down the far side now towards the final mile of the contest, approaching the halfway point of the race. River of Stars racing 2 lengths down in second place. Nate the Great and Coltrane together with Giavolotto on the inside of Broome. Giavolotto a little bit keen early on, but he's travelling quite comfortably and still at the back of the field, detached by a couple of lengths. Courage Mon Ami in the hands of Frankie Dettori as they move past the 7 furlong marker now. Probably 8 lengths would cover the field. And Quickthorn still looking very comfortable on the front end as they go towards the final 3/4 of a mile here. River of Stars and Ross Orion not allowing Tom Marquand too much rope. They're keeping tabs on this leader. Coltrane on the rail. Nate the Great on the outside. Giavolotto travelling well behind with Broome last but one, and Courage Mon Ami in last place. They're about to turn in and face up then towards the home straight with 4.5 furlongs to run in the Weatherby's Hamilton Lonsdale Cup. Quickthorn the leader as they come down the home straight. Now River of Stars is being squeezed along in second as Quickthorn maintains his relentless gallop out in front. He still leads by 2. River of Stars are responding. Coltrane now goes into chase mode, into third place. Courage Mon Ami and Giavolotto are trying to get on terms. Broome is making heavy weather of trying to pick up these leaders, and I'm afraid Nate the Great has been pulled up. Let's hope he's all right. Down towards the final 2 furlongs here, and it's Coltrane that strikes the front down the centre of the course with a narrow advantage now from the pursuing Giavolotto, and Courage Mon Ami on the outside. On the inside, River of Stars has run her race. They're coming up inside the final furlong. Coltrane all out here for Oisin Murphy. Courage Mon Ami on the outside making no impression, and Coltrane, this model of consistency, goes on to win the Lonsdale Cup. Won it from Courage Mon Ami, Giavolotto, and then River of Stars ahead of Broome, and Quickthorn faded and was last to finish.
Yes, Coltrane has won, and great to see him get this win. He's a very deserved winner, that's for sure. He's toughed it out and he's held them all at bay. Courage Mon Ami in second, Giavolotto back in third, and a fair little break then back to River of Stars, the filly who has finished it in 4th place. Broome next, and Quickthorn couldn't quite replicate his Goodwood heroics from last time out. So Coltrane, who was beaten 6 lengths into third in the Goodwood Cup, has gone a couple of places better today. Oisin Murphy and Andrew Balding teaming up with this win in the colours of the Mariscottis. Let's look back at it now.
There you go. Nate the Great emerged out of the stalls first, racing wider. Quickthorn in the hands of Tom Marquand. Tom having a look across there, up the inside there, the filly River of Stars in the black jacket. And interesting that Tom Marquand in no great hurry to cut across, but now he does so as they go past the judge with a circuit to go. It's Quickthorn who establishes the lead. River of Stars and Nate the Great just ahead of Coltrane in 4th place, with Giavolotto on the inside of Broome, and Courage Mon Ami in the hands of Frankie Dettori. The Gold Cup winner is held up in last place, about 7 lengths behind the speed as they move across towards the far side of the Knavesmire here. So Quickthorn, who was a revelation 12 months ago in this, they never laid a glove on him. He leads by just over a length then to River of Stars in 2nd place, with close up on the outside Nate the Great and his stable companion Coltrane on the inner in the green and white hoops. Broome is next, ahead then of Giavolotto, the Yorkshire Cup winner, and the Ascot Gold Cup winner Courage Mon Ami in last place. Going across towards the far side, past the Dante Stakes start, the Jubbmonte International start then. Just under a mile and a quarter left to travel here in this Group 2 Lonsdale. And still Quickthorn being held together in front though by Tom Marquand. He's certainly not going flat out at this stage. They're racing down the far side now towards the final mile of the contest, approaching the halfway point of the race. River of Stars racing 2 lengths down in 2nd place. Nate the Great and Coltrane together with Giavolotto on the inside of Broome. Giavolotto a little bit keen early on, but he's travelling quite comfortably and still at the back of the field, detached by a couple of lengths. Courage Mon Ami in the hands of Frankie Dettori as they move past the 7 furlong marker now. Probably 8 lengths would cover the field, and Quickthorn still looking very comfortable on the front end as they go towards the final 3/4 of a mile here. River of Stars and Ross Orion not allowing Tom Marquand too much rope. They're keeping tabs on this leader. Coltrane on the rail, Nate the Great on the outside, Giavolotto travelling well behind with Broome last but one, and Courage Mon Ami in last place. They're about to turn in and face up then towards the home straight with 4.5 furlongs to run in the Weatherby's Hamilton Lonsdale Cup. Quickthorn the leader as they come down the home straight. Now River of Stars is being squeezed along in second as Quickthorn maintains his relentless gallop out in front. He still leads by 2. River of Stars are responding. Coltrane now goes into chase mode, into third place. Courage Mon Ami and Giavolotto are trying to get on terms. Broome is making heavy weather of trying to pick up these leaders, and I'm afraid Nate the Great has been pulled up. Let's hope he's all right. Down towards the final 2 furlongs here, and it's Coltrane that strikes the front down the centre of the course with a narrow advantage now from the pursuing Giavolotto, and Courage Mon Ami on the outside. On the inside, River of Stars has run her race. They're coming up inside the final furlong. Coltrane all out here for Oisin Murphy. Courage Mon Ami on the outside making no impression, and Coltrane, this model of consistency, goes on to win the Lonsdale Cup. Won it from Courage Mon Ami. Giavolotto.
Well, Coltrane, third time lucky as far as the pursuit of Quickthorn was concerned. They went pretty steady in that race in the middle part of it, Graham, but the crucial thing was Coltrane was positioned much closer to Quickthorn than he was this time 12 months ago.
I know you're a big jazz fan, John, and this horse is named after legendary jazz musician John Coltrane. It's all about rhythm in jazz, and it's all about rhythm for this horse, and the rhythm has gone completely arse about face, not once but twice in this race last year and at Goodwood. But you can take us through break the fractions down here. Quickthorn did not get anything like the smooth passage on the front end this time. He wasn't going any faster, but the others were, and they were right up his backside from an early stage. He's run badly, possibly as a result. Broome is not the horse he was early season. Courage Mon Ami has lived up to his name because he wasn't going well from a long way out. He stuck unwillingly. Giavolotto is a pretty good horse, plays a minor role, but things were pretty smooth. The rhythm for Coltrane here, from the first bar of this race to the last final crescendo note, the smooth rhythm for Coltrane today was the difference.
Certainly was. They actually had to work quite hard for Quickthorn to actually get the lead. First couple of sections were faster than last year, but then he did slow things down. But the crucial thing was the rest were in much closer proximity. And in the past, Coltrane has kicked really well in slowly run races, found a lot of speed in the latter stage, and he was touching 40 miles an hour in the closing stages of this. So he's got a good turn of foot on him in a slowly run race, and that's exactly what he's used here.
Yeah, he went on a heater after this race last year. Went to Doncaster, won the Doncaster Cup. He was in tremendous form from here on in last year. I don't know whether there's any Melbourne Cup talk in the air for this horse. He could follow a similar path to last year, but even with a big weight, he would be a fun horse to watch at Flemington, wouldn't he?
Certainly would be. Yeah. Courage Mon Ami, I think, needs every inch of the trip, if not a good bit further, as he showed at Ascot in the Gold Cup over 2.5. Anyway, we can get to Oisin Murphy now, the winning jockey.
Yeah, Oisin Murphy's alongside me. Oisin, the first question, I guess, is how much going into this race of a sort of tactical challenge did it present you, given what happened at Goodwood last time?
I was certainly questioning what should I do, what might I do, and I just thought I'd trust my instinct and have a nice start and then ride a normal race from there. I must really applaud Andrew Boulding, his staff and the owners, because Holly, I had a quiet spell where confidence was a little bit low, and they continued their belief in me, and it was massive. I could approach the race today with an open mind and hope to get the right result. So thanks to Ryan, who's at his head. He's looked after him for years. The horse had a bad injury 2 years ago, and look, he's come back to the top of his sporting career.
he's a really likeable type. He always seems to run his race.
He's better than that, Ollie. He's truly a top-class stayer, particularly when we get it right like today, and it means the world.
Does this feel like a bit of pressure's released off your shoulders, this win?
I love this meeting, and I've been very lucky here to ride superstars to victory in the past like Roaring Lion, so to win this race finally is really a dream come true, Ollie.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, great scenes there with Coltrane winning, Oisin Murphy doing the steering. $35 the win, $15 the place. The runner-up was number 1, Courage Mon Ami at $13. Third number 5, Gia Velotta at $18.50, and fourth number 7, that was River of Stars. Quinella at $49.50, Forecast $115, the Tierce $403, and the Trio $89. 1 and 4 QQP $17.50. 4 and 5 $37, and 1 and 5 $42.50. 138 for the first 4. 138 for the first 4. 1,689 for the quartet. 4157. Well, we'll tidy up that race, the Lonsdale Cup, for you once they have weighed in and it becomes official. But the winner, Coltrane, who did it really well, very likeable type of horse, isn't he? In the stable of Andrew Balding, who also had Nate the Grey, who sadly was pulled up. Let's hope he is okay. He was pulled up sharply after going across the road crossing there by Harry Davis. So it just didn't look like great for him, and he was pulled up. They've weighed in there, so it is all now official there at those odds. 35 and 15, 13, 18, 15 the place horses. Fourth number 7, 49.50 the Quinella. Forecast 115, Tierce 403, Trio 89. They have weighed in for the Lonsdale Cup there with Coltrane successful for Andrew Balding. First time he's won the race, I believe. His father, Ian, won it many years ago. Crusader Castle in 83 and Spicy Story 84. $138 the first 4. And 1,689 for the quartet. Now, first double has been concluded. Race 1, number 6, race 2, number 4, 413.50, 6 into 1, 66.50. That was the consolation part of the bet there. 3 minutes, 27.92, 3:27.92 was the time. 1.5 lengths by a half, 1.5 by a half. In fact, I stand corrected. Andrew Balding did win the race back in 2017. Montali winning it there. Right, that is the Lonsdale Cup for 2023. We move on to the Jim Crack. The Jim Crack is a Group 2 race, the Jim Crack Stakes. It's for colts and geldings, this one. And it is a rather valuable 2-year-olds race, this. And there's the course, 1,200 metres, 1,200 metres on the straight course. Number 1 is Hartem for Sean Levy, drawn 4, Action Point, Holly Doyle in 3, Emperor's Son, Oshinor, drawn 1. 4 is Hala Amarati, Ross Orion in 8, Jahengir is James Dole, drawn 7, Johannes Brahms is Ryan Moore, drawn 9. 7 is King's Gamble, Danny Tudhope, drawn 2. Killian has been all the rage, well fancied in this. Clifford Lee, drawn 6. Lake Forest, Tom Marquand in 10, and Power Mode is Oisin Murphy, drawn in 5. Rides that one for Alice Haynes. So I filled a 10 to go to post for this race, and we can try, now that my computer's decided to freeze. I was going to inform you on what the World Pool odds were, but we'll get to that very shortly. There they are on screen for you. Johannes Brahms is the favourite currently at 2.5, and he's trained by Aidan O'Brien. Was as big as 2.9, but now into 2.5 and favourite. Second favourite here is Killian. 6.3, now 6.4 is his quote. Action Point at 6.8 is well fancied, though is just easy enough to back. Half Temp up at the top there is an 8.2's chance, and similar sort of price. King's Gamble number 7 there at 7.8 about him here. So we will have some key races for you shortly as well ahead of this race, but the presentation is taking place for the Lonsdale Cup. Coltrane, the winner, in the colours of Mick and Janice Mariscotti. Very, very enthusiastic owners, and they certainly do deserve all the success, and there they are collecting their trophy. They've raced some pretty nice horses down through the last few seasons or so, becoming a bit of a prominent force actually. Their colours are becoming very well known indeed, and Coltrane has just helped that along a little bit by winning the Lonsdale Cup today. So great to see the groom as well. I think Ryan was his name. Oisin Murphy might have mentioned there, Ryan. So congratulations to him as well. Also an integral part of the operation. And the winning jockey, Oisin, will collect his prize very shortly. Also, there he is, Oisin Murphy, former champion jockey. Hopefully we'll see him out in Hong Kong again sometime soon. He has obviously ridden here in the past, and he is a world-class jockey as well. So it would be good to see him out here in Hong Kong once again. Up next is the Jim Crack. A little bit of background on this race. It was first run in 1846. Very, very old race this. We've got plenty of history to it, this race. And in more recent years, it's been won by a few handy ones. Blue Point, actually, is doing so well at stud currently. Won this race in 2016. Muhara for Paul Hannigan, who's retired today. He was the winner in 2014. Casper Netcher went on to win a German 2,000 guineas. He won the race in 2011. And a few years further back, Rock of Gibraltar in 2001. We have got a jackpot for this first double trio upcoming, $161,037 for the first double trio. So you've got until 10 p.m. to get your bets on. As a quick glance at my watch, that gives you about 15 or 16 minutes, maybe 15, just to play it on the safe side. Right, key races time. We're going to start with the Molecombe Stakes here. Killian running third.
Is Marca Cole trying to come up with something. Pura Sangue trying to get going as well inside the final furlong and a half. It's still Big Ebbs against the running rail, who continues to lead the way. From Bahir, who's now under pressure. Pura Sangue begins to angle out, putting in his challenge now. Running inside the final half. Big Ebbs now joined by Pura Sangue. Killian's beginning to fly as well. Big Ebbs and Pura Sangue, nothing in it on the run to the line. Big Ebbs has just won the Molecombe.
And they're already moving down towards the last couple of furlongs. Spread right across the course here towards the right of the group. Big Evs is running a big race in the noseband from World of Darcy. Hala Emirati trying to get on terms. Over on the far side, Alabama. But it's Big Evs in the noseband in front as they come inside the furlong. Alabama is over on the far side. Then Barnwell boy Johannes Brahms is keeping on stoutly with Inquisitively. But it's Big Evs for a big shock in the Windsor Castle. Johannes Brahms up for second.
Right there with every chance.
Yes, some key form there, notably with Big Evs, who's going to line up in the Nunthorpe in our next race. But runners are in the parade ring here for the Jim Crack. Group 2 feature for the 2-year-olds today. Let's go back to York and rejoin Graham and John.
Yeah, welcome back. Race number 3 on Nunthorpe Day. It's group racing again, but this time for the 2-year-olds. It's the Jim Crack, a historic race going back a long, long way, and some great winners in the past. We see horse number 1 here, Hartem, who is, of course, a recent Group 2 winner, the Vintage Stakes at Goodwood. And for that, Graham, he gets a penalty here. Sean Levy aboard.
He's a really, really likeable horse, this Hartem, John. He's already got plenty of experience, 6 runs on the board, 2 wins. I think the one to concentrate on, 2 to concentrate on. He came up against a potential ace in City of Troy at Newmarket over 7, ran really well. And then I know you really liked him in the Vintage Stakes over 7 at Goodwood. He did the job in super professional fashion. Let me ask you, do you think he can be good enough coming back in trip with a small penalty in the Jim Crack?
I'm not certain. I think the form over 7 furlongs is especially good, and back to 6 with that penalty, and 1 or 2 interesting ones here, most notably Johannes Brahms and Killian, I think could be tricky for him. But we will see. Horse number 2 is Action Point, who was a winner at Newbury last time, a listed race. Decent time figure, not too far away from what's normally required to win this, and he's got a lot of early pace, this horse too.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong in the Windsor Castle. It was 5 furlongs at Royal Ascot, but he's not slow, and you would have expected him to be top 4 or 5 candidate, wouldn't you, based on what he's shown since? But either way, he put that well behind him at Newbury last time. It was a big step forward. He led, he showed good speed, he battled on well. This is deeper, but I don't think he'll struggle for pace here. He will give himself every chance, and I would think a place is possible. A win might be a little tough, I think.
Yeah, I think he's one definitely to consider for wider exotics, if that's the way you're
agreed.
playing this race. Horse number 3 is Emperor's Son, who was well behind River Tiber in the Coventry Stakes. Did beat Killian, though, earlier on in the campaign on debut in a race, well, by Carlisle standards, has worked out very well.
Yeah, I've done something that I don't often do, and that's sort of just go on the view of the trainer, because I know that trainer Richard Fahey is still very high on this horse. It was a big disappointment the way he ran in the Coventry Stakes. A suggestion that he came back with sore shins. He did wander off the bridle. Either way, he didn't shine. But he beat a good one in Killian, first time at Carlisle. It's all about Gallop's work, reputation, potential. But I do think the reason this horse is here, because Fahey thinks he is a group race horse. There would have been plenty of lesser options for him to go for.
Yep.
But he's rolling the big dice, and I think he'll run well, Emperor's Son.
Yep, horse number 4 is Hala Emirati, who's got plenty of experience. 4th behind Van Dijk at Glorious Goodwood, of course, in the Richmond Stakes. 4th behind Killian in the Dragon Stakes at Sandown as well. And 7th in the Windsor Castle Stakes behind Big Evs. All pretty good form, but whether it's Jim Crack winning form is open to debate.
Very debatable. He was sold on the eve of Royal Ascot, you know, the boutique sale they have there. He went for 150 grand, and his new owners are taking him to some big shows. He went for a listed race at Sandown, ran okay, but he was half a dozen or more behind Killian. And then he went to Goodwood for the Richmond Stakes, and he was 8 behind Van Dijk. So from what we know, he's not quite good enough for a race like this.
Okay, that's horse number 4, Hala Emirati. We're going to try and do this in race card order, so hopefully the next horse we'll be seeing is Jahangir for the already victorious today Kevin Ryan. James Doyle, of course, cock-a-hoop after Warm Heart's success yesterday as well. He gets the leg up on this horse. 2 runs at Ayr, Graham, both on decent ground. First time up wasn't a particularly great run at all in terms of speed figure, though the horse, the Beat Him Arm ethos, has gone on to pretty good things, and then was a winner last time out.
Yeah. He's bred to be a pretty good horse. He's brother to a Group 1 winner, Hello Yumzane, for Kevin Ryan in these colours. And it's great to see James Doyle getting big race opportunities outside the Godolphin barn. Jahangir, it's Kevin Ryan at York, so you can never be dogmatic, but he looks like he's got plenty to find, John. His win came in a middling race at Ayr. He won it by a neck without huge amounts in hand. Even money, won by half a length. This looks appreciably deeper for Jahangir.
Okay, certainly needs to improve on anything he's done thus far. I like this fella in horse number 6, Graham, Johannes Brahms. The more I look at that Windsor Castle race, just screams 6 furlongs, or certainly further than 5. He's bred to be a miler. I think they quite like him there at Coolmore. I think he'll run well here.
Yeah, well, you remember the year before, the Windsor Castle horse for Ballydoyle was Little Big Bear.
Yeah.
I don't think we thought he was a big star at that time, but he turned into a champion 2-year-old, highest rated 2-year-old. I'm dying to see this horse physically, because just on the videos, John, he has a bit of a look, a Little Big Bear. He looks a real slab of a horse, very handsome, plenty of scope. Look at him. You can see that, can't you, side on? Super laid back, and I think whatever he's done at 5 furlongs last time, he's going to be improved on here. 3 lengths behind Big Evs, who was dominant on the day, but he's probably a really good 2-year-old, as we saw at Goodwood, and we might see in about 40 minutes' time in the Nunthorpe.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to believe that Johannes Brahms is likely to improve appreciably. Watch him in the market, John, because the O'Brien 2-year-olds this week have been easy to back, and apart from Cherry Blossom, ran accordingly.
Yeah, he's sort of yo-yoing between 3 to 100 to 30 here in the UK at the moment. Horse number 7 is King's Gamble. Rafe Beckett and Danny Tudhope teaming up here. It was a good win in the Newmarket Novice earlier on this month, but again would need a lot more to win a Jim Crack.
Yeah, he's owned by the Clipper Logistics guy, who loves to have runners at York, and he looked pretty good at Newmarket. He cost 190 grand. He's by Kingman, and he was smooth pretty much start to finish at Newbury first time. But in terms of a number on that, it starts with an 8 rather than a 1. In other words, 80s rather than over 100, and you need to be over 100. Side on, he's quite bonny as well. He's quite good-bodied and attractive, very, very laid back. Lots of potential there, but it is potential rather than proven form.
Okay, horse number 8 is Killian, whose best effort was probably when winning the listed Dragon Stakes at Sandown 2 starts. Scott didn't run too badly behind Big Evs in the Molecombe subsequently. Will need a strong gallop, I think, to sit off to be seen at his best, given the way he's run in some of his best efforts in the past.
Yeah, I agree about the Sandown run. I think that's his clear best performance on the numbers so far. He ran okay over 5 at Goodwood in the Molecombe, and he was slightly messed around late, but he just did not look a Goodwood horse, did he? Coming down the hill, he was taken off his feet to a certain extent. Then he got messed around slightly. I think the question is, will he hold his position much more smoothly today? He has an extra furlong and a flatter track, and that should help him to hold his position, in which case, with his rating of over 103, he has a very strong chance of going third, second, or maybe even first.
This is Power Mode in shot. Machine Murphy looking for a quick double. Won a maiden race at Yarmouth. They're not often particularly strong. And then was pitched in a Group 3 behind Elite Status in France at Deauville not so long ago. Again, needs to improve, but an interesting entry.
Yeah, he didn't look like he had any excuses in that listed race at Deauville, and the stablemate of Killian, Elite Status, was the horse who won that race. It was tidy, first time at Yarmouth, but it didn't sort of shout star quality, and nor did the French run, so I'll pass on Power Mode today.
Okay, we haven't seen Lake Forest either going down, horse number 9 for Tom Markham and William Haggis.
Intriguing that Haggis is happy to run him in a big race here, because he went to Newmarket last time at 3-1 on in the King's Gamble race, and he really didn't shine at all. He ran well below his previous second in the July Stakes. Maybe it came a bit quickly, 2 and a bit weeks after his July Stakes run, but Haggis is clearly happy and thinks he belongs at this sort of level, but he didn't look like a Gimcrack winner last time out when beaten at 3 on.
Nope, so they're making their way down to the start, 1,200 metres in front of them. Here's horse number 9. We were just talking about Lake Forest, so this is him in the parade ring. Certainly looks well, Graham.
He does. Got the red hood on, which horses wear to keep them calm in the paddock. Comes off before they race. Just having a look at Haggis at York this week. He is one of our greatest target trainers. He does not make entries for fun. He's had a small handful of runners over the last few days. Yesterday, Relief Rally won. Seasick Road ran really well for 5th in the Yorkshire Oaks. Sea Theme won the Goltris. So he's in great form. This horse is not an easy one to make a strong case for after getting beat at such a short price last time. But if Haggis thinks he's a smart horse, he probably is.
Okay, so they're making their way down to the start, and we can hear from Carl Burke, who of course trains Killian, who's had a pretty good season thus far. Is he up to this sort of level?
Killian lines up here for trainer Carl Burke off the back of his effort at Goodwood. What did you make of that?
Goodwood effort, I mean, ground was probably against us, and just as much of the ground, the draw. You know, Ryan had to take back to come across to the rail, and that basically got too far back, and because of that, if we'd have had the posse of the second horse, I think I actually think we probably won despite the ground, you know.
So this ground is obviously going to suit more, but was it just the general consensus after Goodwood to go 6 furlong?
Ryan was pretty adamant after he won the listed race on him that he'd be better over 6, and we toyed with the Richmond, but you know, he's not a slow horse obviously, and you know, he'll stay the 6 here, no problem.
What's he like, demeanour-wise, temperament-wise?
Well, first time out here, we ran him and I didn't think he'd get beat, and he completely lost the plot. Typical of a colt first time at York. But no, he's grand now. He's improved with each run, and he's been very good here. We boxed him over rather than led him over, so you know, just keeping a lid on him, but only precautionary rather than prevention.
Excellent. Seems right at this stage. Good luck.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, interesting thoughts there, Carl Burke, trying to explain away. They're doing it pretty convincingly, that Killian performance at Goodwood, which still wasn't bad really either. It was just one of those things. But as we said before, strong gallop, which Action Point will probably provide here with maybe 1 or 2 others, should see Killian in a very good light. Now, he's actually favourite in the market here in the UK. I'm not too sure that's right, Graham, but we'll see.
Well, we know that Sandown is a very stiff uphill finish. We know it can throw up wide margin winners, and it did in the Dragon Stakes when he won, but he won like a good 2-year-old that day, didn't he? And as Carl just outlined, he didn't have things go his way in the Molecombe Stakes at Goodwood, so I think he's better than that. And it's hard to say whether this is a vintage Gimcrack Stakes, but what pattern race form there is stands up well and speaks well for him. So I get the case for him completely. I think he's got to be in the numbers. I wonder whether Johannes Brahms might be the potential horse.
Well,
only had 2 runs.
He's drifting though.
Is he?
We were talking about the O'Brien drift this week. Hasn't been a particularly good indicator for those of us who are on, but I thought he looked a really strapping horse on just seeing him there on the pictures and have the chance to see him in the parade. ring, but and like we said, he's bred to be a miler, so this step up and trip after devouring the ground late in the Windsor Castle looks ideal.
I was interested to see how Johannes Brahms travels in the market, because the horse who ran on day one in the Acomb couldn't give him away. Couldn't give him away. Ran last, I think. Cherry Blossom ran well, didn't she?
Not bad, yeah.
They're all individual cases, of course, but it doesn't seem like the market's speaking volumes for him. In the Whirlpool, John, there might be one or two discrepancies here.
Yeah.
Because it seems a pretty fluid market, this. Down the track, Heart M1, 8.1.
15-2.
Pretty similar. Action Point, 7.8.
10-1.
Shorter. Emperor's Son, 25.
12-1.
No, see, that Richard Fye opinion hasn't filtered through to the Whirlpool. Maybe it will. I can't fancy Helen Marathi myself at 21.
50-1.
Jahangir is 12, Kevin Ryan.
9-1.
Johannes Brahms is 3.2 in the Whirlpool, so Whirlpool punters, not losing faith with Ryan and Aidan. King's Gamble is 7.4.
4-1.
Killian is 3.9.
11-4.
Lake Forest is 18.
16-1.
And Power Mode is 23.
Yeah, 25-1.
So, again, I'm going to stick with Johannes Brahms because I like his physique, I like his profile, and I think 6 furlongs should help him. But some people, particularly in Britain, aren't that crazy about him. Killian, I'm pretty much know from his Sandown performance that he's good enough to hit the board here.
Yeah,
should be in the top 3. So 6 ahead of 8. I think King's Gamble is a potential horse, but the market tells you that. He's clearly well regarded. Hartem's super solid, and he could easily run 4th or 3rd here. But the one, if you're looking for a horse who's a big price and could get in the 3, Emperor's Son, and it is much more about the phone book than the form book with him. But if he thinks he's good enough to run in high quality races, then he might be right.
Okay, yeah, I'm making.
What about you?
I'm a Johannes Brahms man. Every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I thought it was a lovely run in the Windsor Castle, and something you can definitely step up onto here.
Action Point's drawn 3 and was very speedy at Newbury. He's likely to go forward. Hartem looks a stalker, and he's back from 7 to 6. Not sure about Emperor's Son. Jahangir travelled powerfully and then had to be driven out to win at Ayr. Johannes Brahms, I think, is likely to stalk rather than blaze. King's Gamble likewise. Killian looks a hold-up horse. So I don't think we're going to get a Savage Gallop here.
No, well, that's if you want to do your exotics, I think Action Point is definitely one to keep in there, because he might get a bit of a solo out in front. Just looking back there, Graham, as well, Coolmore had a horse called Brahms at the turn of the millennium, so they've just added the Johannes on here to get a new model.
That's right, and the Brahms was pretty good, wasn't he? He wasn't a superstar, but he was certainly a group racehorse. So Action Point to go forward. Action Point to go forward.
Power mode is in.
Yeah, and here goes Jahangir in the winning colours of the first winner, Mahaba the Champ. So it's the Gimcrack. Winning owner gets to make a significant historic speech in front of all the Yorkshire and British racing worthies at the Gimcrack dinner in December. State of the Nation address, John.
At the Mansion House speech. Right, the last 3 or 4 going in here for the Gimcrack.
I used to get invited to the Gimcrack dinner.
Really?
And there's a great little note on the bottom of the very old-fashioned invitation card. Would your chauffeur require a meal too? I promise you that's true. Mine didn't on the particular night in question.
Well, if you drive yourself, do you get 2 meals? I don't know. Anyway, last 2 or 3 going in on that note on the Gimcrack, and good luck to whoever wins and their night back here in December as well. Here we go.
Killian in very quickly. King's Gamble needing a little bit of assistance. Here is Hartem. So Hartem is in, all in, lined up, set to go, and off and racing. For the Albasti Equiworld Dubai Gimcrack Stakes, this Group 2 event, this historic Group 2 event, down the straight 6 here on the Knavesmire. Action Point began best in the grey jacket. Right up there with him, though, is Power Mode. On the near side, Hala Emirati in the white jacket. On the far side, green colours of Emperor's Son right in the leading quartet as well. They're being chased up by Hartem in the lighter green sleeves and cap. Killian is right to the fore, so too Johannes Brahms on the left. On the far side, King's Gamble in the grey. At the back of the field, Lake Forest being chivied along along, so too Jahangir, who's well in touch. Only about 4 lengths would cover them as they pass the halfway point in the Gimcrack. Still down the centre, Action Point taken on now by Hala Emirati, running a massive race. Over on the far side, King's Gamble's trying to get into it. Killian is now shaken up behind runners. Johannes Brahms coming under a drive, so too on the near side is Lake Forest. 6 in with a chance in the Gimcrack then as they approach the final furlong, and it's Lake Forest who comes storming through on the near side, just carrying Johannes Brahms out to the left a touch. King's Gamble is back in third. Lake Forest and Tom Marcondo driven out towards the line, take the Gimcrack from Johannes Brahms in second. King's Gamble 2 or 3 lengths away then to Action Point, together behind these with Hala Emirati.
Yes, it goes the way of Lake Forest. Looks as if Silver Racing, whoever the main people behind Silver Racing are, will be making that aforementioned speech. Johannes Brahms in second. Third over was King's Gamble in the silver colours, and a close go for fourth, which I think is going to go the way of Action Point there. Holly Doyle on board horse number 2. But Lake Forest has won and continues the excellent run for both Tom Marquardt and William Haggis, who's bagged another winner, and a very special one, I'm sure, by taking the Gimcrack.
And off and racing for the Albasi Equiworld Dubai Gimcrack Stakes, this Group 2 event, this historic Group 2 event. Down the straight 6 here on the Knavesmire. Action Point began best in the grey jacket. Right up there with him, though, is Power Mode. On the near side, Hala Emirati in the white jacket. On the far side, green colours of Empress Sun right in the leading quartet as well. They're being chased up by Hartem in the lighter green sleeves and cap. Killian is right to the fore, so too Johannes Brahms on the left. On the far side, King's Gamble in the grey. At the back of the field, Lake Forest being chivied along, so too Jahangir, who's well in touch. Only about 4 lengths would cover them as they pass the halfway point in the Gimcrack. Still down the centre, Action Point taken on now by Hala Emirati, running a massive race. Over on the far side, King's Gamble's trying to get into it. Killian is now shaken up behind runners. Johannes Brahms coming under a drive, so too on the near side is Lake Forest. 6 in with a chance in the Gimcrack then as they approach the final furlong, and it's Lake Forest who comes storming through on the near side, just carrying Johannes Brahms out to the left a touch. King's Gamble is back in third. Lake Forest and Tom Marcondo driven out towards the line, take the Gimcrack from Johannes Brahms in second.
Victory for Lake Forest, who's come from off a really strong, well, not really strong, but a strong enough early gallop, and was more or less last at halfway, Graham. Johannes Brahms travelling strongly. I was pretty confident here as a big Brahms fan, but in the end, Lake Forest has come from off the pace to score.
Yeah, the second furlong 10.8, followed by 10.9 and 10.9. There'll be low-flying 10.3s and 10.4s in the middle of the Nunthorpe in a few minutes' time. Good run from Johannes Brahms, and he's beaten the fancied horses, and he's beaten them really well. He does get checked slightly, but it's very slightly as the winner edges across him at this point. King's Gamble must be a pretty smart young horse. He couldn't confirm the form with the winner, but he's clear in turn of horses with useful form, horses like Action Point and Killian, who I think overall was disappointing. He travelled really well through the middle part of the race, and then nothing happened, John.
As a Johannes Brahms backer, I was really worried about Killian at around about halfway, but then it was Lake Forest who was just sat off that pace, and did so at Newmarket, of course, in the July Stakes. I was sort of keen to kind of damn him with faint praise on that run, because I thought he'd only got as close as he did to Jasso because of the strong gallop in that race, but he got one here as well, and he's now a Group 2 winner.
What went wrong, I wonder? I'm sure William Haggis will have views on that. 3-1 on. Punter's got the fingers burned last time. Disappointment's Hartem. Definitely a disappointment. That's not his form. Maybe Goodwood left a bruise. Killian did not pick up in anything like the manner expected. Jahangir still looks a bit raw, and this was all happening much too quickly for him. But no, the winner is the winner on merit, and he looked a potential Gimcrack horse until that defeat at Newmarket. King's Gamble will win again for sure. There'll be a pattern race in Johannes Brahms, probably at 6 furlongs. I think that might be the bang-on trip for him. He should go on improving for a while yet. But there's always a silver lining. Even when Coolmore get beaten to second, the winner is by the stallion. No nay never.
Indeed. King's Gamble won that maiden. Lake Forest was fourth in that race at Newmarket at a very short price. Zane Blue, who runs in the Convivial Maiden, was second, Graham. I'm hoping as my on-top selection that he'll go well in that. Anyway, we'll hear from Tom Marquardt. It's been a very good week for him.
Yeah, closing in on 1,000 winners. Tom Marquardt is 8 away now. What made the difference today?
He didn't, to be honest, he didn't really have that much of a deficit to find. If you go back to his July Stakes form last time, just look, things went wrong last time. Obviously I wasn't aboard him, but I think he got a bit bothered. He'd obviously had the run at Newmarket, gone back there. The ground was slower than what he wants. He had to carry the penalty. He was going back to a track that he had sort of quite recently had quite a hard run at, and I think it probably all just accumulated and got to him a bit. But this is, you know, this is why Somerville Lodge and William are fantastic, because they didn't lose faith in the horse, and realistically he got beaten a good way in a novice, and they've decided to come to one of the hot 2-year-old races of the year. And look, they know what they have in the yard, and they're not afraid to shy away from sort of throwing a horse like this in a race when they think that they're up to it, and they're justified. Absolutely.
He's not the biggest. Will he make into a 3-year-old?
Look, he's not the biggest, and it's always hard to tell. But one thing I would say is he probably shows 2/3 of what he's got rather than the full amount. I mean, there he just got a bit lonely in front. So
yeah, what happened late on?
Oh, look, he hit the front, got a bit lonely, and just lent it over to Ryan's horse. Straightened him back out the last furlong, and he was well on top. He just gets a bit lonely and a bit bored when he already thinks he's won. He did it first time as well, so that was a top performance.
Well done, great week. Keep it rolling. Well done.
To Tom there. Nice to know that he's closing in on that 1,000 winner mark as well, and amazing to think how young Tom is, and he's had some great success, especially for that man there, William Haggis, the master of Somerville Lodge. They've got a really good thing going, this pair, and their week continues at a pace, and on the figures he was more than entitled to go close. One of only 3 or 4 in the race, I should say, with a triple figure rating, and he certainly ran up to his best here today. $206 the win, $50 the place. The runner-up was number 6, Johannes Brahms, at $17. Third, number 7, King's Gamble, $17.50, and fourth there was number 2, Action Point. The Quinella, $383.50, forecast $1,120. The TS, $8,644, and the Trio, $881. QQPs 6 and 9, 112.50, 7 and 9, 162.50, and 6 and 7, 54.50. The first 4, 1,121 for the first 4, and the quartet 51,992 on the quartet, if you got them in the right order there for our third race. Well, that was the gym crack, and we now move on to the feature of the afternoon. It is the Nunthorpe Stakes for the sprinters. 5 furlongs, they won't hang around in this race, and Highfield Princess bidding to win the race back to back. 1,000 metres is the trip ahead of them, so we're on the straight course once again. And we can take a look at the field for this year's renewal. Some very speedy horses lining up in this one. Number 1 is Equality for Dan Muscat, drawn 11. Cardem, Jamie Spencer in 10. Living the Dream, first Group 1 ride for Sean Curran, drawn 4. Regional, Callum Rodriguez, drawn 7. T-Spirit, Barry McHugh, drawn 12. Twilight Calls is Frankie Dettori in barrier number 13. 7 is Aesop's Fables for Ryan Moore in 16. Bradsell, winner at Royal Ascot. Holly Doyle on board, drawn 9. Get Ahead, Ross O'Ryan in 15. Highfield Princess, the favourite. Jason Hart in 6. Ladies' Church, Ben Cohen, drawn 5. Makarova, Tom Marquand, drawn in 3. 13 is Nymphadora, Oisin Murphy in 2. Dramatised, Daniel Tudhope in 14. Queen Me, James Doyle in 1, and the 2-year-old, number 16, Big Evs for Andrea Zaney, drawn in 8. Does add plenty of intrigue to the race with Big Evs running here. Not too many 2-year-olds have won this race down through the years, but he looks like a pretty smart one to try and do so. The Gym Crack, they've weighed in, $206 the winner, $50 the place. The placing $17 and $17.50. Fourth, number 2. The Quinella, $883.50. Forecast $1,120. The TS, $8,644, and the Trio, $881. and 81. 6 and 9 QQP, 112.50. 7 and 9, 162.50, and 6 and 7, 54.50. That was the Jim Cat. That was race number 3. The first 4 dividend, 1,121, 2, 6, 7, 9, 51,992 on the quartet, 9, 6, 7, 2. The double, 4 into 9, races 2 and 3, 480. Consolation 4 into 6, $21. So just awaiting those margins for you, and a time as well. 109.91. 109.91 was the winner's time there. And the distances were 1 length twice. 1 length twice were the margins. Right, Nunthorpe up next, and Holly Doyle's got a good ride on Bradsell, a horse she knows extremely well, and we can hear from Holly very shortly indeed about the chance of her ride.
You know, I know, you know, maybe they thought, you know, Highfield Princess was unlucky, and she's gone on to win since, and, you know, she's an incredible mare. But, you know, Bradsell's relatively lightly raced, and he's still got a bit to prove for himself, but I felt like his run at Ascot was very solid. She won on debut at York on soft ground. Obviously we don't want it too soft, but I'm not sure what the forecast is, but I think he's not really ground dependent, so, you know, I wouldn't be too worried how it came out.
He's a young, improving sprinter. There should be a lot more to come from him.
Yeah, definitely. Since the step back to 5 furlongs, you know, he's proven at Ascot that was the thing to have done. So, you know, he might actually have taken another step forward from that, because that was only his first run over 5.
And this should be an easier race. You don't have Australians and Americans and all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I actually planned to take a lead at Ascot, thinking that they'd have more toe than him, and I was actually on the girth of the leaders the whole way, so it goes to show how much natural speed he actually has, and I think he had a bit more speed early on than Highfield Princess, which says a lot.
That was Holly Doyle on Bradsell, her ride coming up in the Nunthorpe, of course, winner with us on the World Pool at Royal Ascot. So good luck to Holly, and all the connections there with Bradsell, trained by Archie Watson, a 3-year-old, one of 4 3-year-olds in the race, bidding to win the Nunthorpe. Right, Lake Forest has just won the Jim Crack. Let's hear from his trainer, William Haggis.
Wins, you must be very satisfied with that.
Delighted, absolutely delighted. I mean, the filly yesterday was great, but this was a bit of a surprise today, because he'd run such a moderate race at Newmarket when I sent him there for what I perceived to be a penalty kick, and he got rolled over at 3-1 on. So.
Did you ever? Was there a problem? Was there an issue? Did you ever find anything?
He didn't run well at all, but he didn't behave at all, and he was keen going down, bad in the stalls, bad behind the stalls, and he didn't race at all. But he was great today. He was really composed. We saddled him in the stables, brought him over with his tack on, but he was calm and settled, and Tom gave him a lovely ride, and he gave Tom a lovely ride.
And this place could be quite a test, can't it, for a horse?
Absolutely. So, but you know, it's a prestigious race, it's a great race to be involved in.
Where might you go now? The Middle Park on your mind?
Yeah, well, I couldn't remember whether he was in the Middle Park, because it may well have been just before or just after that race, the entry closing. But yeah, he'll go to the Middle Park. I've got him in the Lagardère, I think. He may well run again, we'll see.
Okay, and so 6 or 7 is
yeah, he's bred to get a bit further. He's bred to get better at 3 too.
Okay, well that's good news. And how far do you think he'll stay?
He looks fast to me. But you know, he should get 7 and a mile, should do.
And looking at the rest of the week, where would you? I mean, how does this compare to previous weeks? And have you got more winners that you can bang in?
Well, I don't know. We've got chances. We got a chance in the Fillies Handicap later, and one in the last.
That's Amanzo in the Fillies Handicap.
Amanzo, yeah. She's got a lot of weight, but she's very well. And Tafridge in the last should run okay. Then tomorrow we've got a couple in the Melrose, and then one in the last, one in the Roses, and we've got one in the Ebor too.
Haven't you snuck into the Ebor as well, yes, with post impressionist?
Yeah, but he's not been in as good a form this year as he has been previously. So it's a little bit of a stab in the dark, but it's such a huge pot, you've got to have a go.
And people at home will want to know which of your Mel's roads too, Alhambra Palace and Lordship, do you prefer?
I think they've both got a nice chance, but if it rains and rains properly, then Alhambra Palace really comes into it.
Okay. And Sacred, of course, in the City of York?
Oh yeah, she's lovely. Sorry, I forgot about her. She's the best one. I don't want any rain for her though. She's so talented, she's really well, fresh and well, so she should run well in a good race.
So you'll be hovering over the weather forecast, shades of Hamish.
Again.
Okay, well, I hope it rolls for you. Can't roll for you 100%, can it? But I hope it goes well nonetheless. Congratulations.
Thanks, Lydia. Thank you.
Yeah, tremendous to hear from William Haggis there. A wonderful interview, as always, and discussing some of his chances later on today and tomorrow as well. Regrettably, we won't be bringing you the coverage tomorrow, but hopefully a winner or two still to come for Somerville Lodge before the day is out. Some key races coming up next for you. We're going to take a look back at Goodwood, Highfield Princess and Makarova. Will be the feature of our first key race.
On the right is White Lavender in the grey jacket, then Ladies Church Equilateral pulled very much to the right as they run down towards the final furlong. Highfield Princess taking over. It's Highfield Princess, the odds-on favourite, that goes on from Equality. Down the near side, White Lavender is running on strongly. Razzle on the far side. Highfield Princess leads inside the final furlong and draws away. Highfield Princess, she's all class, and Highfield Princess comes clear to win the King George. White Lavender just second from
to go. Highfield Princess and Bradsell, Coolangatta, and with those as well on the far side is Twilight Gleaming. Cannonball leads the near side with Vadream and Dramatised as now Bradsell. Holly Dawn has gone on. In second position is Highfield Princess, who's gaining though. Bradsell has the lead. Highfield Princess, the red and yellows, a half length behind in second place, but Bradsell and Holly Dawn have won the King's Stand to Highfield Princess and Anna to
ground. Wider out there, Barnwell Boys still with chances. Marker Cole trying to come up with something. Pura Sangue trying to get going as well inside the final furlong and a half. It's still Big Ebbs against the running rail, who continues to lead the way. From Bahir, who's now under pressure. Pura Sangue begins to angle out, putting in his challenge now, running inside the final half. Big Ebbs now joined by Pura Sangue. Killian's beginning to fly as well. Big Ebbs and Pura Sangue, nothing in it on the run to the line. Big Ebbs has just won the Malcolm. Big Ebbs over.
Yes, Big Ev's bidding to be the 6th 2-year-old to win this race since it was very first run. But Highfield Princess is one that he has to get past. They all have to get past her. She is the favourite. Let's go back to York, ahead of the feature with Graham and John.
Thank you very much, Nick. Yes, 1,000 metres, Group 1. It's one of the best sprints of the year in Europe. It's the Coolmore Wootton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes, and it's going to be another tremendously quick renewal. And we can take a look at the horses in the parade ring now, starting with, I think that's number 6 that we can see in there, which is Twilight Calls, Graham. Is it number 6 that we can see? It's tricky to get the old saddlecloth
8.
It's horse number 8.
Bradsell.
And that's Bradsell, yes. Holly Doyle and Archie Watson, who looks obviously the main danger to the favourite Highfield Princess.
Second favourite in the British markets, and on most ratings, the only horse who's close to Highfield Princess. And that comes from last time out, 5 furlongs, Group 1, Kingston Stakes, Royal Ascot. Got the better of a terrific duel with a game Highfield Princess, edge left and hampered Highfield Princess. So there's a bit of unfinished business for the filly, but Bradsell's is still lightly raced, and he's got the second best form if you believe most ratings.
This is horse number 10, Highfield Princess, Graham, sorry.
What a story. What a story, Highfield Princess. Can't think of too many Class 6 sprint handicappers who've become the most accomplished sprinter in Europe. That's what she's become. She did it tremendously well in this race last year. She's got form over 6, but 5 at York places unusual demands on sprinters. She made light work of this task last year, and I hope she can do it again.
Yep, 13 wins from 35 starts, 3 at Group 1 level, and it's an astonishing story. It's fairy tale, really, when you think of it. It's the kind of thing that you dream about as an owner, isn't it, at the lower levels?
Absolutely. She's known by a former TV mogul John Fairley, who's getting on in years now, but what an autumn, golden autumn to his racing career.
Absolutely. This is horse number 4, Regional, who's in very good form, albeit at a lower level. Speed to burn as well. Graham will go forward, and even this very hot race.
Yeah, you want stories? Boy, we have stories in this race. This fella changed hands, I think 3 years ago now, for 3,500 guineas. Wasn't showing much. He is now a highly progressive sprinter on a roll with very good flat track form. York and Haydock. Fast ground is a plus. He should be coming home really well. Can he hold his pitch during those fierce fractions? 10.3 and 10.5, the likely second and third furlongs here.
Indeed, yeah, there's going to be some serious speed injected in the mid part of the race. Moving down to horse number 16. This is Big Evs, of course, this 2-year-old who gets all the advantages. The Platinum Queen had those last year, Graham, plus the fillies one as well, and she finished second. I reckon this lad, if he can put together his Ascot run especially, he won't be too far away with the lightweight.
Agreed. He gets a tremendous amount of weight. Jason Hart, his regular rider, was always going to ride Highfield Princess, but he knows the danger this powerful, precocious 2-year-old represents. I think all concerned with him think that he got away with soft ground last time out in the Morecambe Stakes. He still won. His Windsor Castle Stakes was dominant. Massive field of winners. Johannes Brahms did not let the form down in any way 25 minutes or so ago. So every reason to expect Big Evs, Big Revs, to show those revs and run a really good race. Another fascinating aspect here, John, nearly all the big fancies are drawn right next to each other.
No, it is interesting, yeah, and I think Big Evs, well, I've got him in for second. I think he'd run run a big race and fly the flag for the 2-year-old form, as quite a few horses have done in the past, of course. Kingsgate Native, the Platinum Queen last year, and all the way back to Lyric Fantasy as well. Horse number 14
Dramatised.
Yes, Dramatised too. It was a bit disappointing in the Lowther last year when she was very strongly fancied for it, but at her best she's got a chance.
Yeah, but is that best for real? Because the best seems to be the Temple Stakes win at Haydock, when there was one of the most valuable golden highways in that I've ever seen on that day at Haydock, and she had the best of it on the stands rail. All sorts of horses who were stuck out in the soup in the middle have gone on to do much better since. She went on to Ascot, and connections think the ground wasn't ideal for her out on the wing that day, but she has a great deal to do with Highfield Princess and Bradsell on that form.
Moving on to horse number 2 now. This is Cardem, dear old Cardem, who won that Jubilee Stakes at Royal Ascot at 8-0, 80-1. Came slicing through them to win there. Newmarket July Cup, beaten by Shaquille, one of the most improved sprinters in the world. He's a very difficult horse to catch right, I think is probably the best way of putting it.
Well, the Spencer first time klaxon was ringing loud and clear when he swooped late to win a fast run Group 1 over 6 at Ascot, and that tells you that he's a high quality sprinter, but he didn't reproduce that level in the July Cup. I think, John, the key thing for him, 5 lengths fourth in 2022, that tells you probably what he's capable of in this particular race.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if he can win, but I suppose not absolutely flabbergasted. This is horse number 1, Equality, for Daniel Muscat and Charles Hill, 7th behind Highfield Princess in that Qatar King George Stakes, which was a race absolutely made for Highfield Princess, and there's no disgrace losing to her.
I know you were really impressed by my stat of the day earlier on about horses who didn't shine in the soft ground at Goodwood coming on to shine here at York. This could be another, because he'd been on a roll, really good form at Windsor and Sandown prior to Goodwood when he seemed to get stuck in the mud. I think he's worth another chance today, but his best rating so far is 110, and he needs to better that.
Yep, he certainly does, as do quite a few of these if Highfield Princess is going to be at her best. This is Twilight Calls, horse number 6, who is interesting, has run well at this level before and in this race, and I think can go well again here.
You want stories in this race? Boy, we've got stories. How could this horse be any more aptly named? Twilight Calls, Frankie Dettori retiring this season. This his last Group 1 ride ever at York, 30 years after his first Group 1 winner at York, which was in this very race on the runaway front runner Lock Song. This horse is a much different kettle of fish. He's not a top horse based on form, but I and plenty of other people think he's been waiting for a combination of fast ground, fast pace, tucked away on a flat track, and Frankie Dettori might just be the cherry on top.
Yeah, hold-up horses don't have a great record winning this race, but this one can definitely come into it on a minor line. Horse number 3 is the next one we can take a look at. This is Live in the Dream, another horse who's pretty good and very fast, would have to improve a lot to win this, but again will put some searing pace to the race.
I've said this before, but how could this horse be more aptly named? Young jockey Sean Kiran only came out of his apprenticeship last week, and he's got a chance in Europe's premier 1,000 metre sprint. It looks a forlorn hope. Living the Dream is rated 107. He's fast. He was a good third to Dramatised in that Temple Stakes at Haydock. Ran pretty well at Deauville last time. He's likely to be mixing it early on, but I think it would be a big surprise to all of us if he was the last into the final furlong.
Yes, it would have to be a sort of big speed of the speed sort of burn up for him to win, you would have thought. This is Nymphadora, horse number 13 for Sheen Murphy and Andrew Balding, still basking in the afterglow of Coltrane. A winner here back in July. That was enlisted company, beating a very fast horse called Silky Wilkie, but then was well behind Highfield Princess at Goodwood.
York's a good track for her. She's got a couple of wins here, but they are at a much lesser level. She was another one who seemed to sink in the gluey ground at Goodwood, so she should do better here, but again, it's a ratings thing. Rating of 105 is not going to cut the mustard today.
Okay, that's Nymphadora, who's a big price, and now we can move on to horse number 7, which is Aesop's Fables, third in the July Cup behind Shaquille. Prior to that, had run quite... Sorry, it wasn't the July Cup, it was at Newbury, sorry, in the listed race there. Prior to that, had run quite well in his native island. Was fourth behind Chaldean, actually, at Newmarket in the Dewhurst. Not entirely sure he screams Nunthorpe to me, Graham.
No, Ballydall don't do social runners, but it's a Coolmore sponsored race, a cherished race, so you have to think they'd like to be represented. They are, but I've not seen enough from Aesop's Fables to think that A, he's a proper Group 1 horse, and B, that he's a nailed on 5 furlong horse. So with a rating of 108, he has questions to answer, especially on the score of a very quick 5 furlongs. If he went super fast and faded, he might come into it, but the really quick horses tend to sustain their power right through in this race.
Yep, that's Aesop's Fables. Moving on now to, is it 5?
T-Spirit, yeah.
T-Spirit, former winner of the Dash, Graham, at Epsom.
He's really quick, but he's quick at a certain level. Adrian Nichols, son of Dandy Nichols, top jockey and trainer who won this race as a jockey and trainer, but T-Spirit looks more of a social runner, quick, aggressive, but not a Group 1 horse.
And in behind, we've got Makarova, that's horse number 12, Tom Marquand, and Ed Walker teaming up, and again, fourth behind Highfield Princess at Goodwood.
Well, Tom Marquand could win on a rusty bike at the moment. I'm not saying that Makarova is a rusty bike. She's got some really good form this season, but she was only fourth behind Highfield Princess at Goodwood, and she's got to make up at least 4.5 lengths to have a chance of turning that around.
Yep, that's not going to be easy for her. Right, they're making their way out onto the track. I think we've seen most of them.
Ladies Church we need to see, Queen Me we need to see, Get Ahead we need to see, and we've seen all of the others.
Well, Queen Me's interesting, isn't she? She's from that family that do extremely well at this meeting, the Lowther Stakes family.
Generally in the Lowther Stakes. Kevin Ryan's had a winner today. She's only had 2 runs this season. Interesting that after she ran well in the Commonwealth Cup, her rider that day, Jim Crowley, suggested this race as a possible target. But again, it's a ratings thing. She's rated 105, but she is low mileage. There is a chance that she's capable of a bit more improvement than 1 or 2 of these.
Okay, that's Queen Me, and we haven't talked about Ladies Church or indeed Get Ahead. Both pretty big prices, Graham.
Yeah, Ladies Church is Ben Cohen and Johnny Murta, and it's a class thing. That rating of 110 has a few whiskers on now. She hasn't produced that on her last 2 runs, and whether she can produce it here, I'm not sure. And the other one, Get Ahead, again, it's a ratings thing. Get Ahead is currently rated 102 for Ross Orion and Clive Cox, and that latest run, 3 lengths behind Equality. So work to do with Equality, let alone the ones at the top of the market. Highfield Princess is one of the stories of this or any other season. The man who has shepherded her from a 50-odd rated Class 6 handicapper to one of the most charismatic sprinters in Europe is Johnny Quinn.
Yeah, she's nice and chilled. You know, she never gets upset, which is a good thing, and she's fine. Yeah, grand.
This year running twice at Ascot, did you notice any effect on her at all off the back of that? Clearly not the way she ran at Goodwood.
One could tell she'd had 2 races, you know, so we gave her a break middle of the summer, which helped her greatly.
Obviously, you've not been in a position where obviously she ran with great credit at Ascot, but where she'd suffered a couple of defeats quickly on the bounce. How did you feel Goodwood-wise off the back of that? Was it relief? Did you expect a performance like that?
Well, first of all, we were delighted that she got her head back in front. It's very important. We were very pleased for the filly, and it can only do her good.
What's your feeling about the strength of this year's race?
I think it's quite a strong race. I think the 2-year-old's getting a lot of weight. His form was franked in the gym crack there. horse that beat us at Ascot is very good colt, and there's a couple of others that will prefer this drier ground. So it's quite a spicy race.
Unbelievable what she did last year. 5 furlongs quick ground here, onto the Curragh heavy ground over 6. Where's she at her best, or does it all come alike to her?
Well, the form book said she goes on most grounds, so hopefully, everything's fine for her today.
Good luck. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, he's just mentioning one or two dangers. Clearly, Highfield Princess is in the best position to win this race from a tactical perspective, a speed perspective, etc., etc. But there are one or two potential flies in the ointment for favourite backers.
Let's talk numbers. These are the fractions she went through. She didn't lead early on last year, but she was right on these fractions. 13.4, 10.3, 10.5, and those are the two key numbers. As I've touched on before, in Europe, certainly in Britain, we don't have too many sprinters who can go through those severe fractions early on, 10.3, 10.5, and then still sustain and run on strongly through the final furlong. But Highfield Princess made that task look like work last year, and she was still fresh as a daisy as she powered on. One of the main pursuers last year, panting pursuers in the end, was a good 2-year-old, the Platinum Queen.
Yeah.
I think Big Evs is probably, certainly potentially, a better juvenile than the Platinum Queen, so I expect him to be bang on the speed and go well. I quite like the look of Regional to stalk and stay on, and I am, it's not for the first time, but I'm quite seduced by Twilight Calls, because I think this is the first time for quite some while that he's had the tactical setup that I and quite a few others think might just suit him very well indeed.
Yeah, well, Nature Strike bounded to victory in the King's Stand a couple of years ago. Sorry. It's the Ian Bartlett call. When Nature Strip bounded to victory in that race a couple of years ago, Twilight Call's a long way off that strong gallop and then weaved through to finish a very good second. So.
Let's try and play fantasy racing and set up the way this race will look after 400 metres. There will be horses going absolutely as fast as their legs can carry them.
Yeah.
And I think the candidates to be struggling for that speed, I think Aesop's Fables is a prime candidate, even with Ryan Moore on board, to find difficulty going the speed. T-Spirit is pretty quick and will last a long time. Equality could travel quite nicely. I'm not sure Cardem can travel that well, even under Spencer, in the heat of a fast ground 5 furlong Nunthorpe. But the horses who will go forward, Highfield Princess has gate speed like very few British sprinters have. She's just natural, really naturally quick from the gate. Bradsell travelled really well on the heels of Highfield Princess at Ascot, John, but I think the times that he recorded at Ascot tell you that he faces a different tactical question here. He wasn't having to go low 10s in order to stalk the pace at Ascot. He will have to go low 10s to do so today.
He certainly will. Yep, it's a really quick 1,000 metres here at York, flat as a pancake and really fast ground today.
Overages.
Oh yes.
Let's see if we can find any. It's race 4. It is the Coolmore Wotton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes. There will be value here somewhere. It's a big field of proven high quality sprinters. So let's see how we go. Equality, I would be surprised if Equality is 57 in the European market.
40s.
Okay, so there's a big difference. Cardem 17.
16 to 1.
Bang on the same. Living the Dream 38. Bigger.
28 to 1.
Oh wow. Regional 23.
14 to 1 here.
Overs. T-Spirit 72.
125 to
Twilight Calls, it's the Tory 16.
14 to 1.
Aesop's Fables 21, Ryan Moore.
25 to 1.
Bradsell 6.1.
9 to 2.
Pretty similar by and large here. Get Ahead 26.
40 to 1.
This is where we might differ slightly. Highfield Princess is Raging 2.1.
13 to 8.
Ladies Church is 65.
33s.
Makarova 35.
33s.
Nymphadora 37.
28.
Dramatised 18.
14.
Queen Me 31.
20.
Big Evs 8.1.
5 to 1.
Right, Big Evs is slightly over. They are going in. These experienced sprinters shouldn't take long to get going. Good luck whatever you've played here. I am hoping Bordelescott, Batash, Mecca's Angel all went back to back in this race. I think it's a really romantic story, but she is an elite sprinter now, and a win here would set Highfield Princess up for Ireland, possibly for France, possibly for America, possibly for Hong Kong. Let's hope she can burnish that reputation further today.
Yep, they're going in quickly, so we can hand you across to Mike Cattermole, who's going to call them home in the Nunthorpe.
The Dream, a real speedball going in next, the Chestnut, followed by Nymphadora in the bronze colours. Macarova's in and dramatised. She's walking forward now for Danny Tudhope. There's still a few to go, including Aesop's Fables. In goes Aesop's Fables into 16 on the near side rail. Out the back, T-Spirit, Equality, and Highfield Princess still to go as well, and Cardem. So I think there's 4 left. Make that 2 now. Cardem and Equality. There's 2 stable companions. Cardem will be the last. Here we go. Lined up then, ready to race. And away they go. Cardem had the blindfold whipped off at the last minute and will be held up here for the Coolmore Wootton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes Group 1. Living the Dream, pink jacket over on the far side, off to a good start. Highfield Princess in that far side group as well. Macarova there and Regional. Down the near side, that's the 2-year-old Big Evs leading a little cluster there, leading from Equality. Right up next to the rail then is Aesop's Fables. Bradsell is just behind the leading pack with Dramatised, T-Spirit and Twilight Calls buried away by Frankie. Over on the far side still Living the Dream, showing a lot of pace from Highfield Princess, and Queen Me coming there with Macarova. Regional's under a bit of pressure. Bradsell's coming into the race quite stylishly. They're already down to the final furlong here. Spread across the track, Living the Dream, a real trailblazer. He's awash with sweat, but by golly, he's flying. They're all queuing up behind though. Highfield Princess beginning to gather herself. Can they get to Living the Dream? And Sean Curran looks like going to be an all-the-way win, and a surprise in the Nunthorpe. Living the Dream wins it from Highfield Princess. Bradsell tight there with Macarova and Regional for the minor placings. Cardem on their heels, never nearer.
Well, fantastic. What a result. That we knew there was going to be a story. Never thought it would be this one. Living the Dream. Sean Curran's first ride in a Group 1 race, and he's managed to go and beat Highfield Princess. Bradsell has run third. Pretty close go there. Macarova and also Regional involved there for fourth. But Living the Dream, trained by Adam West, was 40-1 on the Whirlpool. Sean can barely pull the horse up. He is full of speed. He's all about speed, and he's blazed the trail here today, and he has scorched the turf at York to go and land the Nunthorpe in fantastic style, and a huge day for that man in the saddle.
And away they go. Cardem had the blindfold whipped off at the last minute and will be held up here for the Coolmore Wootton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes Group 1. Living the Dream, pink jacket over on the far side, off to a good start. Highfield Princess in that far side group as well. Macarova there and Regional. Down the near side, that's the 2-year-old Big Evs leading a little cluster there, leading from Equality. Right up next to the rail then is Aesop's Fables. Bradsell is just behind the leading pack with Dramatised, T-Spirit and Twilight Calls buried away by Frankie. Over on the far side still Living the Dream, showing a lot of pace from Highfield Princess, and Queen Me coming there with Macarova. Regional's under a bit of pressure. Bradsell's coming into the race quite stylishly. They're already down to the final furlong here. Spread across the track, Living the Dream, a real trailblazer. He's awash with sweat, but by golly, he's flying. They're all queuing up behind though. Highfield Princess beginning to gather herself. Can they get to Living the Dream? And Sean Curran looks like going to be an all-the-way win, and a surprise in the Nunthorpe. Living the Dream wins it from Highfield.
Well, this horse is all about speed, albeit at a much lower level, has shown tremendous engines in the past, and I just didn't think, and I think you were of the same opinion, Graham, that he'd be able to sustain it at this level, but sustain it he most definitely has.
Fantastic, Adam West and Sean Curran. More on those two in a moment, but we touched on what this race demands, John, and it demands just brazen, eyeballs out, run as fast as you can for as long as you can. And Highfield Princess, I think Johnny Quinn might suggest that the ground is a little bit on the quick side for her, but I don't think any ground's too quick for Living the Dream. And to take lengths out of these elite speed horses was really impressive. And to sustain it under Sean Curran, who only lost his apprentice claim a few days ago, is a sensational result. Adam West is trainer. We'll hear from him in due course. was sleeping on a bed in the office to keep his business going not that long ago. So what a story. We said we had 5 or 6 incredible stories. We've had one that none of us saw coming. Highfield Princess, good for second. Bradsell's good for third. Regional in a battle for fourth. But none of them ever really looked like getting past this runaway leader, who had shown tremendous speed early on in the season at Newmarket, ran well at Deauville last time, ran well at Haydock, but his rating of 107 seemed to tell the tale of a sprinter who wasn't quite up to Group 1 level, but the speed that York demands brought out by far the best performance of his career. They are living the dream now.
They certainly are, yeah. And again, it's just a good example of how it's very difficult to win this race from a long way off the speed. And even Highfield Princess, who just a couple of lengths behind the whole way there, she was getting a little bit closer in the closing stages, but nowhere near close enough. Yeah,
nothing for Frankie. Never really promised to fire a true shot on Twilight Calls. Bradsell has run really well, handled the demands of the race better than most. With Sean Kiran and Adam West. 28-1 here in Britain, I think. I'm just going to check the Whirlpool market, John. See if Whirlpool punters had confidence and live in the dream. 41. It's a significant overpay. Have to be a certain age to remember the original Adam West, John.
Batman.
Well done. Kapow! Live in the dream for Adam West. The new Adam West, the original one, has passed away, sadly. Tremendous character. Adam West, likewise. He has put his heart and soul into keeping his business going. Doesn't have many horses, but he has one very, very fast one. And Live in the Dream could not be more appropriately named.
I'll tell you what as well, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, he'd be absolutely mustard in that race as well with that gate speed.
And we've read a lot in this country about Epsom's ailing fortunes as a training centre. The home of our most famous race. Adam West and this horse are putting Epsom right back on the sprinting map.
I'm with an absolutely stunned Adam West, who I can see just by looking is utterly speechless. I'm going to try and ask you to speak. Congratulations, you've won the Nunthorpe with Live in the Dream.
I can't believe it. I'm just so grateful. It's amazing. Everything happens for a reason. We didn't get a good luck at Deauville, and we swerved America to come here, and it looks like he's going out there now with a ticket. What a fantastic ride as well, and wow, thank you.
What's this going to mean to you and your team?
It's going to mean everything. This is a horse we've had so much fun with and so much faith in, and just getting him to put his head down and get on with it. He's been fantastic. The guys are working so hard at the moment, and it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
How many horses do you have? Tell everybody at home.
We're 46. Sit around 50. I know all of them, and that's important. And this has been with us from yearling. He's been, what a journey.
And the rain came at the wrong time just before the Palace House, because he was doing a very similar thing. So you must have thought, a slick racecourse, slick conditions, I've got a chance here. Did you dare to dream?
I never thought it was possible to win it. We were just so happy for 6 places. We were laughing and joking about, the place betting and how skinny it was. And lo and behold, it should have been the win. Mark.
Tell me you had something on the win as well.
I had nothing. Oh my God.
I suppose you don't really care though.
No. Steve and Jolene have been great. Lils, who looks after him, she's been with him from the beginning. Everything. This is just, money does not matter. That is amazing. I've had a Group 1 winner. I can't believe it.
And now you're going to the Breeders' Cup?
I think so.
Why not?
Definitely.
Because he's got gate speed, and you think he can threaten the American horses on gate speed.
I think he's £10 better on a turning track. That's a big statement, but I think he gets that position. Then he can get a breather. On these straight courses, he doesn't get a breather, but he's just nicked enough today. Oh, amazing.
And so did you choose to come here instead of the Delmar Group 3 that you were talking about?
Yes, basically the costings. We're not wealthy. We're not a big yard. Or Steve and Jolene are great owners, but they're not the high tiers. And it was just too expensive to go out there. And the entry was in. So
just move you out of the way of Adam just receiving the congratulations from Jason Hart, who was on board Highfield Princess. But as it turns out, as you say, everything happens for a reason, and you've ended up in the right place at the right time.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to let you go and enjoy it, Adam. And at one point today, it's going to sink in.
Maybe next week.
Congratulations, Adam.
Thank you, everyone.
And that's not just Sean's first Group 1 victory, it's a first group success for Sean. That is quite remarkable. Firstly, how does it feel for you to be a Group 1 winning rider?
Yeah, look, I can say to you with an absolute degree of certainty that it hasn't sunk in yet at all. And,
not surprised.
It still feels like winning another race, but going by that line was some feeling in front of some serious horses, and to give this lad an opportunity to show, that he's a real top-level sprinter. And I have to say a massive thanks to the owners. Stephen, Jolene, and Lemos, for maintaining the faith in myself mainly, but also Adam West, and leaving this horse with him and having me on today to keep the partnership intact. They must get a lot of credit. Lots of credit goes to Lil as well, who looks after this horse and rides him every day. So
I think Lil's about to hate me because I'm going to ask her a question in a moment. I'll try and let you compose yourself.
Yeah, but and then obviously the majority of the credit has to go to the horse. I mean,
what stage did you think you were going to win, or know you were going to win?
I think when I was approaching the furlong pole, I hadn't gone for my whip yet, and I could hear the cracks of sticks behind me, and nothing had really got to me yet. And in the corner of my eye, the near side group were starting to fall away, and I thought, if this horse sticks on, I'm in with a good shout of being placed. And then I felt like 50 yards out, nothing was going to come to me. He loved the ground. He was licking across the top of it. He was maintaining that speed the whole way, and I just felt in the last 50 yards.
Tim needs to be shaking your hand. I'm sure you're going to receive a huge applause in a moment. But Lil, just sum this feeling up. It's very clear from your reaction what it means to you.
I'm so speechless. He's something, and he never ever lets you down, this horse, and he's just brilliant.
Yeah, I won't persevere. It's very clear what it means to you all. Congratulations. Well done, Sean.
Yeah, well done to Sean Curran, well done to Adam West, and all the connections here. Living the dream, and it really is fairy tale stuff, that's for sure. And Adam West, that's his 8th winner on the flat this season. As he alluded to there, they're not a big stable, and they obviously bypassed the trip to America purely on a cost and a transport basis. So they've ultimately trucked the horse box up from Epsom to York, and they've landed their first Group 1, and superb, really. A horse with absolute brazen speed, and they never managed to land a glove on him whatsoever. So Living the Dream provides a bit of a boil over, it's fair to say, at 40-1 on the world pool. This son of Prince of Lear has won the Nunthorpe, and all roads now look set to lead to the Breeders' Cup towards the end of the year. So wonderful scenes indeed, and there'll be some fairly big and generous payouts for this, given the price of the winner. Highfield Princess has lost nothing in defeat there in second, Bradsell third, and Macaiboss fourth. But we'll get into the details for our next race, and then we'll tidy up the result of the Nunthorpe for you in due course. But we've got a Fillies and Mares handicap coming up next here, and it is over the 2,061 metres for this race. There are a few absentees actually in this race. We've got 3 coming out, so brings us down to a field of 9 to partake here. Serona is the early favourite on the world pool at 4.5. Amon Zoe is the mount of Tom Markov, William Haggis there, drawn 10. Serona is Ryan Moore, drawn 5. Sisyphus Strength is Oshie Murphy 1. Take out 4, Chelsea Green, and 5. Lan Sinte has also been withdrawn. Reach, Joanna Mason, drawn 4. Right, this one for Mick and David Easterby. Rawaya is Andrea Zany, drawn 2. Prenup, Harry Davis in 6. Aiming High, Joey Haynes in 9. No Nay Nicky is Cam Hardy in 7. Youngest is Holly Doyle in 11, and Take Out Real Terms is out. They've weighed in for the Nunthorpe, but the winner, Living the Dream, $417.50, and 95 for the win. The runner-up pays $13. That was Highfield Princess, number 10. Third, number 8, and that was Bradsell at $16. And fourth, number 12, Makarova. Quinella at 383.50. Forecast 1,656. The TS 10,407. The Trio 1,024. QQPs 3 and 10 $158. 3 and 8 $309. And 8 and 10 $30. They have weighed in for the Nunthorpe. 4,696 for the first 4. The quartet, decent old quartet, 215,277, 3, 10, 8 and 12. The double, race 3, number 9, race 4, number 3, 4,289.50, 9 into 10, 124.50. This first double trio has been run. The race 3 needs 6, 7, 9, race 4, 3, 8 and 10, 51,959. 56.87 was the time. 56.87. 1 length by 3/4 were the margins. So we'll take a look at some key races now for our next race upcoming, and we can start by having a look at some Goodwood form.
Rawaya's coming up with something. Novus is improving deep on the tracker's choice here, has moved into the lead for Novus in the purple and green. Then Rawaya, followed by Baxidar. Rich Injuries running on. Then Royal Dress and She's Hot. Choice here will lead them inside the last by about a length or so to Rawaya. Novus trying hard to the outside. Then Royal Dress, but it's Choice here who's found a length or so near the line of Choice here from Novus. Then Rawaya and Royal Dress.
On the move, they're running downhill now for the last quarter mile, and Darkness has moved through in the light blue colours to just about take a narrow lead here from Titian, who's battling on. Then Glenfinnan on the right. Bodigan is backing out of it. Great Guardian in the blue and white keeping on in behind. Darkness is edging left but is in front as they come deep inside the furlong from Titian and Glenfinnan, and Darkness running on strongly. Serona making late gains for a place, but Darkness inches home. Serona might have been out for a second.
Also travelling well, Under Pressure, Lion Kingdom, and then comes Kingsley Pride, making their way to the final 2 furlongs. Then City for Strength and James McHenry. Far side Under Pressure is Sir Lawrence Graff. Then in behind these, the ridden along Order of Malta. Obsidian Knight's Under Pressure, so's Lion Kingdom, and Kingsley Pride's never been a factor. City for Strength in front under David Probert inside the final furlong, and that's now quick and clear. City for Strength has quickly gone 3 lengths clear for James McHenry. Running on late is Lion Kingdom for a place, but City for Strength always travelled well and wins nicely.
There were the key races ahead of this Fillies and Mares handicap coming up, and favourite now is Reach. We've had a few flip-flopping favourites here. Reach is the new favourite though. Serona is second in 4 point. Now, there's a look at the closing stages there of the Nunthorpe. Living the Dream for Sean Curran, and fairly delighted as well. And so too the Connect. Oh, a bit of a fall for the groom, but she won't mind, in absolute pure elation, given the victory of her beloved horse here, Living the Dream. And her horse actually won first up as a 2-year-old way back in August of 2021. This horse has come a decent way in a short space of time. Now a 6-time winner from 18 and a Group 1 winner as well. Has been placed at Group 2 level prior to this. Did place in the Temple Stakes and 4th last time behind Asymmetric at Deauville, a race that we covered for you on the simulcast coverage, but wins a big one today, and none bigger than the Group 1 at Nunthorpe, and great for Sean Curran as well, who was on board. He's only just ridden out his claim as an apprentice jockey, and for any jockey that does become fully fledged, it's never the easiest thing to keep that momentum going, but he's managed to register a win at the top level, and the connection's fairly delighted as well. Second double trio starts here. 770,499 is the jackpot carried forward, and you've got until 10 minutes past 11 to get those bets on here. So you've got about 14 or so minutes there to get your bets on for that, and also the treble, don't forget. Races 5, 6 and 7 for the treble as well for day 3 of this World Pool simulcast coverage from York. 3 really competitive races to finish today's programme. The next race coming up certainly has that look to it for sure. A number of chances. There are absentees, don't forget. Take out the 4, 5 and 12 are the ones that don't go. I thought Amon Zoe was by far one of the most interesting runners on today's programme. She's returning after 371 days off the track. She's trained by William Haggis, who's got his team in really good form, and actually races in the colours of the Starship Partnership, a partnership that carry the colours, I believe. These were the late Lester Piggott silks, these, the pink with the white hoop armlets and the hoop cap as well. Amon Zoe here, he was certainly amongst the partners, that's for sure. But this horse has got some really good form when last seen. Did run second at York behind State Occasion. That was back in August of last year. Obviously hasn't run for a fair while, but does handle the quick ground. And absolutely bolted up at Hamilton one day on good to firm ground, and followed it up with wins at Sandown and Ascot. So she's very upwardly mobile, she's very progressive, and I think that if she's ready to go first time, which you'd hope she would be, she's certainly some sort of chance. Did actually win at the Sugar Cup last year, so clearly has a decent level of form in the book. Serona is the horse in question on this graphic. Briefly outpaced when dropped to 1600 metres for a Newmarket handicap last month before finishing strongly to grab second. So if you liked that run, going back up and trip could well suit. That was behind Darkness. She was a 14-1 chance that day. That was on similar sort of ground back on the 13th of July. Prior to that, I'd run a couple of listed races. Was well beaten behind Save the Last Dance, who was runner-up. He ran yesterday, third in fact, at the Yorkshire Oaks, and then was well beaten again at Goodwood in mid-May, but clearly bounced back with something like a better form last time out, and this is only her 4th run of the campaign, so she could certainly offer up something going back up in trip. She is by Soldier Hollow, so should be getting this trip, you'd imagine. On pedigree alone, has won over an extended 7 furlongs on a couple of occasions at Beverley, and also a listed winner at Cologne as a 2-year-old. So she's of a decent enough standing, is the favourite. Reference odds on screen there for you. Amon Zoe a little bit shorter over in the UK, 4.5, 5.7 on the World Pool, but wide open race this. They're going 4-1 the field. You're taking unders about the favourite at this stage on the World Pool, that's for sure. Favourite currently is 7 Rawaya on the UK prices, 6.3 here on the World Pool for that one. Owen Burrows and soon to be Hong Kong based Andrea Zaini is the man on board. That 3-year-old filly. We're 11 minutes out. Let's go back to York and rejoin John and Graham.
Welcome back to the World Pool Nerve Centre here for the Assured Data Protection EBF Fillies Handicap. Still reeling from that wonderful story in the Nunthorpe. You didn't have to back the winner to enjoy that. This is horse number 6 in our Fillies Handicap here. This is Reach, a horse that's attracting quite a bit of money for the Easterbees, Graham.
Yeah, the scent of singed turf wafting across the Knavesmire after Living the Dream blazed his way down the 1,000 metre track. Let's kick on with this Fillies handicap. We go with 2 big handicaps and a big maiden to finish this week's world coverage. Here is number 6, Reach, gambled on here in Britain. Look at that. His name is brushed into his quarters. If you can get even money about this young lady winning the prize for the best turned out horse, take it right now. As for Reach, I'm going to check the World Pool price in a minute. She'd been running really well, progressing with a couple of handicap wins at Nottingham and Beverley. Didn't shine quite so brightly at Windsor last time when 4-1 favourite, weakened in the closing stages, but someone here in Britain thinks that this mare's not done improving yet. In the British market, she's about 5-1 or thereabouts, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was a nice run here back in May at the Dante meeting over the 12 furlongs that she encounters. That was over 12 furlongs, 10.5 furlongs here today, but still it was a good effort here at York, and she's clearly in pretty good form if factor out the Windsor
well
run.
found in the World Pool Market as well, 5.5.
Blimey, okay, and so there's definitely a lot of support behind this horse. Right, moving up to the top of the list here, we can see the one, Amon Zoe, who of course won this race last year and hasn't been seen since, Graham, up to a mark of 98 from 93, but clearly a pretty progressive filly and could still be well treated if she's ready.
Could be. We said similar things about Big Door, who'd been off the course for over a year prior to running really well for a place in the opening race. Amon Zoe, you have to think, has been prepped for this. Haggis is shooting the lights out over the last day or two. She was an excellent second behind State Occasion, who's won a group race since, in this race 12 months ago. Just good form, that race, because I think the third horse has boosted the form as well. She has. Croakill won a handicap last time out. So it's a question of fitness and form. She is higher in the weights than this time last year, but it's Haggis and Marquand, and therefore high on the shortlist.
Horse number 2 is Sirona, who was second behind Darkness at Newmarket last time. That wasn't a bad effort. It was an improvement on what she'd done prior to that. Ryan Moore for Charlie Johnston.
Yeah, it's an interesting booking. She ran the type of race that draws plenty of people in and doesn't draw me in last time, and that she was caught badly flat-footed in the dip on the July course at Newmarket. Then she came home well. Lots of people would say, whoa, keep an eye out for her over a longer trip. She gets a longer trip today, she gets a chance to shine, but she won't have any of my money on.
Well, she won't have that stiff incline to the line that she gets at Newmarket on the July course. Moving on to horse number 3, Sisyphus Strength, the horse that you like, Graham. Won at Newmarket last time. Got quite an easy lead there against the clock, certainly, but has got the ability, as she's shown prior to this as well.
2 starts back, complete forgive. She was one of the culprits who set that insane gallop at Royal Ascot at 1.5 miles. She had zero chance of sustaining that. David Egan was on board that day. David Probert was on board last time. She was handy from the start. She made her ground travelling really well, and she was firmly on top late in the piece. I like the way she bowed her head, and she's higher in the weights today, as with a few of these, but I think she might be one of the ones, the recent winners, who's a little underrated in the market.
Okay, that's Sisyphus Strength. Sheen Murphy and Andrew Balding looking for a double on the day. Horses 4 and 5 are both non-runners. 6 we've already seen, so we're going to move to horse number 7 now, Rowea, who ran a really nice race when pretty well fancied, it has to be said, at Goodwood on the soft ground, of course, back at the meeting there. But it was a good winner on Good to Firm at Sandown prior to that. They clearly think quite a lot of this horse. She was in the sweet spot of the race last time out at Goodwood, but she got a nice draw here, Graham. I think she can go very well.
Agreed. Her 5 runs are hallmarked by pretty steady progression, aren't they? All at up to a mile so far. Good winner at Sandown from a mark of 80. Third at Goodwood from the 18 box. I know being held up was advantageous that day, but she did have to cover plenty of ground. She's only up £3 for that really good performance. Highly likely to run a good race, I think.
Horse number 8, Prenup, a horse for our times, who's run very well on the all-weather and on the grass. Just been very, very consistent. Will go forward. Harry Davies for Jane Chapelheim. Bit overpriced to me in the market here in the UK.
Yeah, a few more miles on the clock than 1 or 2, but that's no real knock on a chance. She's a 3-time winner from 14 goals, including over 9 furlongs on deep ground at Sandown last time. I think she had the perfect trip that day, John. She led and she quickened on heavy ground. She's up £5. This promises to offer a different tactical setup, and for that reason, I think there are stronger candidates than Prenup.
Horse number 10 is No Nay Nikki, who was 6th of 6 behind Nagiri, who's done a bit for the form at Haydock last time, but she was 6th of 6, this No Nay Nikki. Hopefully, or connections should be hoped that she's better assessed on that run here back in June and the subsequent run back in July, both of which were quite good.
Yeah, it was extremely soft ground last time out at Haydock. That could have been the reason for the dull performance. Prior to that, she'd been here at York, over 7, pretty good 5th. But I'm looking through her record, John. She's had 1 dart at 1.25 miles. It didn't end well for No Nay Nikki, who's by a high-quality sprinter. So at this trip, John, I think I'll have to say No Nay Nikki no more.
Indeed.
You follow?
Yeah, very good. Yes. We'll play the Wild Rover. We've still got horse number 9 to take a look at here. This is Aiming High, who was 6th at Sandown last time over the 9 furlongs. Had run at 12 furlongs the time before that, so they're mixing it up trip-wise. Has gone well at this trip in the past as well. 25-1 though. Joey Haynes aboard for David Simcock.
Yeah, I think you've summed up the key points there. Withdrawn a couple of times on account of good ground, so I'm not really sure what type of service she wants.
Yeah, it's interesting campaigning with this race in mind. Certainly that's Aiming High, who probably needs getting on for a career best to win this. So that's horse number 6, the one we flagged up earlier on. Joanna Mason, of course, aboard for members of her family, Mick and David Easterby, who, well, they own large swathes of Yorkshire, and that'll be helping with the upkeep of that if this one can win.
A very quick word with Jo Mason before racing. She was going out to the paddock well before racing with a whip in her hand, and I said, "What's the whip for, Jo?" And she said, "Oh, I'm going giving a display on the Equisizer." So she was going teaching people about the finer points of race riding. Here is a bit of a flighty filly. This is Sirona, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Who, it's interesting.
John, she's going to do well to get away from this unit, a groom who's leading her up. If she slips away from her, she really is keen.
He's a big lad that needed to get a large amount of material for the waistcoat.
Ryan Moore's aboard, isn't he? And
yes, he is.
He's taken an executive decision here to say, well, just let her go and I'll get her out. One of Charlie Johnson's travelling head grooms, I think that's Robin Watton, is about to take charge. But Ryan says, no, I think we can handle this between us. So a bit of horsemanship, a bit of nous and a bit of cajolery should hopefully get Sirona out onto the track and down to the start with no mishaps.
Yeah, but she's certainly a little bit flighty, but she's off now. Ryan Moore, very, very cool customer wherever he is on a racetrack, and even a horse playing up in the paddock doesn't cause him to bat an eyelid.
Yeah, here in Britain it's sort of 3 or 4 horses dominating the market. Roea, Reach, Sisyphus Strength and Amon Zoe, and it's pretty much double-digit spars. So if we go through the market, John, as they go down to the start, let's have a look. There could be a few overages, and speaking of overages, John, there was a big one for Living the Dream. I think he was 28-1 starting price in the UK, and he was 41, I think, in the World Pool. So that's the type of result you would expect to toss up a value play for punters, isn't it?
Absolutely, and well done if you were on. Certainly, it was a type of race where there were going to be quite a few overs if there was going to be a shock, and that's how it all transpired.
A couple of nons here. Shall we go down the card in terms of current betting?
Yes,
we've got a few minutes before they jump. Number 1, Amon Zoe, second in this race last year. Mark Van den Haggis having a high old time. It's 6.7.
9-2. She's on the drift a bit here, actually. Did touch 7-2 in the UK.
Point or so higher in the World Pool. Sirona, Charlie Johnson, Ryan Moore, edging the paddock 6.
11-1.
Not surprised by that difference. Pretty much the same, I think. Sisyphus Strength, Sheen Murphy, Andrew Balding.
7-2.
I think notable, Andrew Balding had a few potential informed fillies for this race, and he's gone for Sisyphus Strength. Chelsea Green is a scratch. Launchinta is a scratch. Reach is 5.7.
7-2.
Pretty much solid. Roea, 4.3.
11-4.
Yeah, slight overs. Prenup 16.
16-1.
Aiming High 16.
22-1.
No Name Nicky 23.
28.
Here's one. Youngest 8.2. We haven't talked about her yet.
17-2 here in the UK.
Roger Varian is the man responsible for putting the polish on Youngest, and Holly Doyle is on board. But we're going to chat to the bespectacled Roger.
I really fancy Youngest in this, Roger. I feel the horse was desperately unlucky at Goodwood last time.
Yeah, she was, Matt. She was unlucky, and I think if she switches off today over a mile and a quarter, she could run very well.
Yeah, I mean that's the key, isn't it? It's one thing closing in over a mile from out the back. It's another when you go up slightly in trip and perhaps racing a bit more prominently. Will you keep the running style from Goodwood or change it a bit?
Well, we leave that to Holly. She's got an outside draw. I hope there's a little bit of pace on, so it gives her a chance to get in and get a little bit of cover. I think cover's important. Her first 2 runs of the year were over a straight mile at Ascot, and neither time did she relax, and she didn't finish off. Rama Bender Goodwood last time, she switched off lovely and showed what she could do, albeit she was meat in the sandwich. But hopefully it'll work out today.
Yeah, hopefully she's more relaxed than me and you. We wish you well. Good luck.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, she was a little bit knocked around a bit in the closing stages of that race at Goodwood. Quite a few of the horses were sort of surging from the back, weren't they, Graham? And she's ended up being squeezed out.
Yeah, she did well. Meeting the sandwiches. Meeting the sandwich is the appropriate expression. But lots of fillies were staying on well from off the pace that day, so it's not altogether a bang reliable piece of form. But no, it's a keen fillies handicap. This it's 10.5 furlongs, mind. It's a significant step up in trip on a flat track. I quite like the Sisyphus strength. Her record is a bit checkered, but the two blobs are excusable. The Cheshire Oaks, you'll remember, was running a absolute quagmire, and she didn't handle it. She wasn't the only one, and she was asked an impossible task over 1.5 miles. So back against her own sex, back in trip last time, she was good. So she'll do for me. Quite like the look of Rawaya and Amon Zoe. But they'd be my top 3 in this race.
Yeah, you touched upon when Rawaya ran in that Choisier race at Goodwood, she had to go back from stall 18. She's got a bit of gate speed this, or she's not an out-and-out go-forward type, but I expect it to settle sort of around about mid-division this time round from stall 2, and hopefully that'll be good enough to see her right here, but we will see. She's definitely got a little bit more upside to her, I think, over the slightly longer trip as well. But there's a couple left to load, the aforementioned Rawaya and indeed Amon Zoe, looking to repeat her run here from last year. Oh, we can get across to Mike Cadamol for the call.
Rawaya going in. Amon Zoe next. And they're ready to go. And off and racing. For the Assured Data Protection EBF Fillies Handicap, Heritage Handicap, over 10.5 furlongs, £100,000 in the pot. Prenup began well, and Sirona is trying to go with her, although you just get the impression Ryan Moore is trying to get her to switch off. She's very keen in second. Amon Zoe settled better, who's wider in the pink colours. And then Sisyphus Strength, red with the sheepskin noseman, racing close up behind there, together with No Name Nikki. And right behind them, and also restrained as well, is Rawaya and Dreatzini, just trying to get her to relax a touch. She's alongside Reach, who's settled well for Joe Mason, aiming high in the pink gap next. And last is Youngest, in the hands of Holly Doyle as the runners sweep past the 7 furlong marker over on the far side. Looks like a generous pace here. 10 lengths between first and last, being set by Prenup and Harry Davis as they move down towards the turn down the side of the course here. Amon Zoe, last year's runner-up, is in second, just ahead of Sirona on the inside rail in third. She's just beginning to relax a bit now. And then No Name Nikki, the yellow jacket, fourth, ahead there of the red Sisyphus Strength. Reach has just got a little bit closer for Joanna Mason on the outside. Rawaya is now behind on the inner for Andrea Azzini, aiming high, and Youngest are the last two. Down the home straight they come, passing the 4 marker now. Not much to report just yet, but you suspect that one or two of them are travelling better than the others, because ridden along Prenup to maintain this advantage. He does quicken up though, but No Name Nikki is getting into the race in some style on the outside of the yellow jacket. Amon Zoe squeezed along between them. Up the inside rail, then Sirona is rallying for Ryan Moore. Look at Reach though, jumping into the race on the outside in the black jacket for Joe Mason. Right behind them then, trying to stay on, is aiming high. They're up towards the final furlong and a half, and Reach has struck the front here, and she's going clear, chasing hard. Sisyphus Strength's got 2 legs to find inside the final furlong. Reach from Sisyphus Strength, who's eating into that lead now. It's down to 3/4 of a length. Reach all out. Sisyphus Strength. Reach just held on by a neck from Sisyphus Strength. Back in third, Prenup, and aiming high stayed on for fourth.
Yes, Reach has won. Great ride there from Joe Mason. Has got this horse home, and she's been in really good form of late. Has this 5-year-old mare, and she's got home in front here from Sisyphus Strength in second. Third over, looks to be Prenup in the orange colours, ahead of horse number 9, that is aiming high. So those numbers for you: 6 has beaten 3, 8 and 9. And Reach, who travelled oh so well throughout the contest, has gone on to score for the excellent Joe Mason, riding for both grandfather and uncle Mick and David Easterby.
And off and racing. For the Assured Data Protection EBF Fillies Handicap, Heritage Handicap, over 10.5 furlongs, £100,000 in the pot. Prenup began well, and Sirona is trying to go with her, although you just get the impression Ryan Moore is trying to get her to switch off. She's very keen in second. Am and Zoe settled better, who's wider in the pink colours. And then Sisyphus Strength, red with the sheepskin noseband, racing close up behind there, together with No Name Nikki. And right behind them, and also restrained as well, is Roea. Andrea Atzini, just trying to get her to relax a touch. She's alongside Reach, who's settled well for Joe Mason, aiming high in the pink cap next. And last is Youngest, in the hands of Holly Doyle, as the runners sweep past the 7 furlong marker over on the far side. Looks like a generous pace here. 10 lengths between first and last, being set by Prenup and Harry Davis as they move down towards the turn down the side of the course here. Am Zoe, last year's runner-up, is in second, just ahead of Sirona on the inside rail in third. She's just beginning to relax a bit now. And then No Name Nikki, the yellow jacket, fourth, ahead there of the red Sisyphus Strength. Reach has just got a little bit closer for Joanna Mason on the outside. Roea is now behind on the inner for Andrea Atzini, aiming high, and Youngest are the last two. Down the home straight they come, passing the 4 marker now. Not much to report just yet, but you suspect that one or two of them are travelling better than the others, because ridden along Prenup to maintain this advantage. He does quicken up though, but No Name Nikki is getting into the race in some style on the outside of the yellow jacket. Am and Zoe squeezed along between them. Up the inside rail, then Sirona is rallying for Ryan Moore. Look at Reach though, jumping into the race on the outside in the black jacket for Joe Mason. Right behind them then, trying to stay on, is Aiming High. They're up towards the final furlong and a half, and Reach has struck the front here, and she's going clear, chasing hard. Sisyphus Strength got 2 legs to find inside the final furlong. Reach from Sisyphus Strength, who's eating into that lead now. It's down to 3/4 of a length. Reach all out. Sisyphus Strength. Reach just held on by a neck from Sisyphus Strength. Back in
Yeah, there was money for Reach, and it was well invested. We saw a quick shot of the Easterbees as well after that, and they'll be well pleased. And they didn't go overly hard out in front here, Graham. Reach was sort of mid-division, a little bit further back in the run, but has timed it well. And Sisyphus Strength in second, maybe just allowed the winner to get first run.
Should have won in my book, and I'll tell you why. Because the splits were 5.69, 25.57, 25.74, 25.63, 3 consecutive tepid quarters, 23.15 at this point, rapido, and it's the definition of first run. No Name Nikki and Reach are hemming Oisin Murphy in on Sisyphus Strength, and if you'll pardon the pun, Sisyphus had an uphill task from that point on, and she did really well. She responds generously to pressure. Reach edges out a little and perhaps just hampers the second very slightly, but the damage wasn't done there, John. It was done well over a furlong out when Reach got first run, and Sisyphus Strength had to wait for Racing Room.
And the first two well clear of the rest as well, so it's a bit of a signature on Sisyphus Strength. It's a good shout though from Graham to flag this up. I was a bit underwhelmed by the times of the Newmarket run, and interesting that they rode her a bit more conservatively here.
I wish they hadn't.
Well, exactly, yes. They might have wanted a reprise of the Newmarket tactics. Am and Zoe was in a lovely position throughout, but she's gone backwards. Roea pulled too hard in the early stages.
3 anticlimactic, 4 right of picture Sirona. She looks nervy and edgy. Watch her. Roea expected much better. Likewise, Am and Zoe. And Youngest dropped out in a moderately run race. Not ideal, but really didn't make any headway. But the story is, and the human story has been terrific today. Grandad Mick, the most voluble, colourful character in British racing, hasn't got many teeth left, but he's got a lot of brain cells left. His son David's now on the licence, and granddaughter Jo is doing the riding. And I don't think Jo has ridden an Ebor Festival winner before, but either way, whenever she has a winner, she's beaming.
Yeah, it's a really huge success, this. Joe, congratulations. Richard mentioned in commentary about the sort of torrid run with injuries you've had. So how much does this mean to you personally?
Yeah, it means a lot. You know, I've ridden a lot as an amateur, and I've ridden a winner here as an amateur, but to ride as a professional round at my local track, you know, it means a lot.
You fancied this night coming into it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Obviously, I was at the preview evening, Sky Bet preview evening the other day, and, you know, I thought she was very unlucky the last day at Windsor. We roused her up a bit too much and she ran a bit keen, and then the gaps didn't come, so I knew we hadn't really seen the best of her talent yet, so to do that today in a big day, you know, she deserves it.
It's always very special when the Easter Bees have a winner here during the Ebor week, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is, especially with such a local yard. And Grandad loves it here, so he'll be definitely celebrating and putting on a show. But, you know, thanks to them, really, and the owners for letting me ride her. It's an honour.
Have you ever walked into a winner's enclosure with S Club 7 playing on the tannoy?
More like a club when I was younger, but it doesn't matter what song, you know, it's a winner, so I'm happy.
Well done.
Yeah, it's going back a few years, isn't it? S Club 7, but yeah, Joanna Mason won't mind, and Reach has done a pretty good job of winning this race. Lovely mare, there she is. A great shot of her head. She was immaculately turned out beforehand, as we saw, and she's managed to deliver the goods in the race itself. There was some nice money for her as well. She was well backed, and yeah, given a canny ride there. There is David Easterby, co-trainer, going in to give the horse a drink of water as Joe debriefs the owners. $49 the win, 16 the place about Reach, horse number 6 the winner. Second was number 3, Sisyphus Strength, at $13. Third, number 8, Prenup, will pay $52.50, and fourth there, number 9, Aiming High. The Quinella, $135, forecast $289. The Tierce, $2,694. The Trio, $732. The QQPs, 3 and 6, $51.50. 6 and 8, $146, and 3 and 8, $140.50. First 4, 1,614 on the first 4 there. And the Quartet, $21,054 for 6, 3, 8 and 9 in the correct order for that Quartet. So Reach too good. There is the great Mick Easterby in the grey suit, absolute legend of the sport, Mick Easterby, and he's got himself a winner here on the Knavesmire at one of his favourite courses. Right, up next is the Convivial Maiden. This is the richest maiden run in the UK. This one, it is £100,000 sterling in prize money, somewhere in the region of 988,000 Hong Kong dollars, with just over 500,000 Hong Kong dollars going the way of the winner. 1,400 metres the trip. Number 1 is Al Wasal. Tom Marquand drawn 11. Battle Cry is Ryan Moore in 6. Bulmer Bank, David Allen in 10. Castle in the Sand, Danny Tartype in 1. Dimsons is Sean Levy drawn 5. Ever Driven, Liam Canary drawn 8. Kings Valley, Oisin Murphy, drawn 14. Peace Walk, Andrea Zany in 7. Sisythian is Neil Callan, drawn 13. Spirit of Aklam, Joanna Mason, drawn 12. Take out the 11, Superstition Doesn't Go. Thanks Forever, Jason Hart in 3. 13 is Under the Sun, James Doyle in 9. Volterra is Tom Eves in 2. And Zane Blue, David Egan will be on board, drawn in 4. So let's look at the field. There is just the one absentee. They've weighed in for the previous now. So the winner, Reach, 49 and 16, $13.52.50. The placed horses, fourth, number 9. Quinella, 135. Tierce, forecast, 289. The Tierce, 2,694. Trio, 732. 3 and 6, QQP, 51.50. 6 and 8, 146. And 3 and 8, $140.50. They have weighed in for that Fillies and Mares handicap. The first 4, 1,614 for 3, 6, 8 and 9. And the Quartet, $21,054 on the Quartet, if you got them in the correct order. The double, race 4, number 3, race 5, number 6, 3,230. Consolation 3 into 3, $396. The race time, 209.34, 209.34. And we'll get some margins for you as well. Neck by 3 lengths. The front 2 somewhere clear. There is Mick Easterby collecting his prize. He'll be in great form after this, and that looks rather evident on those pictures with son David Both gentlemen co-training now in partnership, and they've got themselves a nice winner here at York's Eborn meeting in the shape of Reach. And a great story, as we've seen throughout the course of the day, the course of the last few days actually, are certainly the stories that have emerged, and they've been pretty good, with granddaughter Jo riding the winner. So a great family affair on the back of race number 5. But we've got 2 more races still to come, and up next is a fascinating maiden race for which Under the Sun is the favourite on the World Pool. 4.7. Hugo Palmer Trains has had a couple of starts and has run well on both of them. Was only beaten a neck last time at Ascot when a beaten favourite at 13-8. Is a son of Golden Horn and would certainly look sure to do better now with a couple of runs under his belt. Zane Blue is trained by John Butler. Now John Butler has had a winner already this week. This horse actually ran second to King's Gamble, who we saw run so well earlier on in the day. The horse that ran 4th in that Newmarket race was a certain Lake Forest. So that form really has taken a nice boost for Zane Blue, and he'll be partnered by David Egan this time around. Was ridden by Danny Muscat last time out on debut. So really interesting with some of the form horses in this race. Kings Valley is another one you can't leave out, trained by the very prodigious talent that is Ollie Sangster, training this one in the colours made famous by his grandfather Robert Sangster. Runs in the ownership group of the Kings Valley Partners. But if you follow your flat racing down through the years, those famous green and blue colours are very familiar. Now Volterra wears the second colours here of Sheikh Obeid. Plenty will probably be expected from this colt. He cost 400,000 guineas as a yearling. Second foal. He's a half-brother. His half-brother won a listed event as a 2-year-old. So clearly a precocious sort of pedigree by far of an Equiano mare, trained by Kevin Ryan, and Tom Eves is going to be on board Volterra. Currently at 22s on the World Pool, so a little bit friendless as far as his World Pool price is concerned, but that said, it is his debut, but he has drawn gate number 2 here, and he is one that has never actually made a racecourse appearance prior, so a little bit of an unknown. But we might be able to help you out in that respect, because we've got some key races for you. Obviously they will be the form horses that have run before, but we're going to start with the Irish runner Battle Cry.
And then Tier Coffee and Roger was wrong. Racing just outside the final furlong. Tier Coffee has blundered out of the plate. Rory Cleary, it's Starliner from Battle Cry. My mate Alfie now been asked to pick up. Gets one behind the saddle. Racing inside the final half furlong. Starliner, my mate Alfie down the outside of Battle Cry. My mate Alfie has got up from Battle Cry.
And Courchevel, they're at the 2 marker in red. Under the Sun still has the lead. Neversell in second position. Al Musmak in the white and green closing. I'm puzzled behind these, and then Galactic Charm. Still a furlong to go. Under the Sun and Al Musmak. It's this pair now to fight out the closing stages. It's Al Musmak in the white and green joining Under the Sun in the red. There's very little between them. Al Musmak and Under the Sun, they are clear to Galactic Charm.
Lake Forest Whitecap has had to be shaken up just to find a bit of daylight, and he's having to work quite hard to get on terms here. On the extreme left, Zane Blue is making progress to join the leaders as they race down into the dip. Infinity Blue second from the left, and under the rail Zane Blue. King's Gamble out in the centre, and Lake Forest has still got 3 lengths to make up, and deep inside the furlong it's King's Gamble who's asserting here and is coming home for a ready success on debut. Might be quite useful. King's Gamble is too good.
Bella Camina, then comes Test of Love, followed by King's Merchant. Al Warsel now just being shaken up by Jamie Spencer to try and deliver a run to the near side running rail. Furlong and a half left to go. It's Regal Solitaire and newcomer King's Merchant down the centre. Al Warsel now gets the splits on the near side. Test of Love tries to come home really well. So does Last Edition, well inside the last 100 yards, and it's King's Merchant and Callum Rodriguez in front. Here comes Project Geofin, who's flying at the death.
So they were the key races ahead of the Convivial Maiden upcoming, and reference odds on screen for you in regards to those UK prices. Now the favourite on the World Pool is Under the Sun. That certainly rings true about the prices in the UK. Is currently at 3.2. The one you're getting decent overs about on the World Pool, in fact, is Zane Blue. 4-1 chance over in the UK. You're getting 10 and 3.6 here on the World Pool, so it could be a fairly decent and spicy sort of price about Johnny Butler's charge here. Runners coming into the parade. We're 15 minutes out from the richest maiden run in the UK. Let's go back to York.
Yeah, there's a good few quid on offer, Nick, for this maiden race. £51,500 to the winner. We can look at Kings Valley, a horse who has got some form. Quite a few of these haven't, of course, and it's going to be tricky to pick our way through some of them. But Kings Valley ran once at Sandown, Graham. It was on soft ground, but it was a decent effort.
John, another of my stats of the day. It can be won by a newcomer, this, but not often. Only 2 in the last 12. This lad's got experience, and I thought he shaped like a potential future winner. I'm not sure about the sockless look.
I was going to say exactly the same thing there.
Not sure about that, but the horse looks perfectly calm with his cross noseband on, and I thought he travelled well in what was a pretty good race at Sandown first time out. The winner of that race, I think, has gone on to win a listed race at Salisbury. He paid the penalty for going with that winner, Kings Valley, and ended up third when I thought he travelled like the second best horse in the race. In short, Ollie Sangster, rookie trainer, making good impression. Asheen Murphy is booked. Highest draw, I'm not too worried. I think Kings Valley is a definite place chance.
Okay, horse number 13 is Under the Sun. The Al Musmak form looks pretty good now in the context of this race, certainly, and was second behind a horse called Ancient Wisdom, who's pretty progressive as well. So 2 pretty solid efforts, Graham, and the market reflects that.
Yeah, he was a fair way behind Ancient Wisdom, but Ancient Wisdom is a pretty good horse. He was very close to a promising horse who's boosted the form since. Over 7 at Ascot. He showed a nice easy-going speed, so I think he'll give him a completely clear shot here. He is entered in the Royal Lodge Stakes Group 2 and the Dewhurst Stakes Group 1. He's clearly well regarded. I think he's got the best form in the race. A few big fancies, potential big fancies, came out at the 48-hour deck stage. Under the Sun is a big runner, I think.
Here's an interesting contender, Battle Cry for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Aidan O'Brien did have some very expensive horse flesh engaged in this, but taken out at the declaration stage. Battle Cry's not done a huge amount. Down Royal, maiden, wouldn't be particularly strong.
Yeah, I would think if you can't win it Down Royal and then you win Britain's Most Valuable Maiden, it doesn't quite seem the most obvious fit. He is above average. He had every chance at Down Royal, beaten by a horse called My Mate Alfie, who's run quite well in useful company since. But no, I think I'm looking for 1 or 2 to be a bit stronger than Battle Cry here. His experience and his form should take him a fair way into this race. Will he be the winner? Time will tell.
Horse number 15 is very interesting, Zane Blue. That one piece of form has been polished very nicely indeed with Lake Forest's victory in the Jim Cracker course, and King's Gamble won that maiden race, so to split those two, it's quite some effort.
Good point. It's good. It's been polished. He's by a really hot first season sire. I'm tipping that John Butler hasn't had many 170,000 guinea yearlings through his hands, so they liked him at the sales. Butler's had a winner with Designer on day 1, and Zane Blue, who shaped well first time, and the form has been given a pretty rosy look in the last 2 hours.
Okay, that's horse number 15, Zane Blue. Horse number 4 is the next one to take a look at here. This is Castle in the Sand, beaten 4 3/4 lengths on debut. Not a particularly great speed figure at Foss last, which again, a bit like Down Royal, you wouldn't have thought as a grooming ground for the convivial maiden.
No, but it's not unusual for balding youngsters to take a big leap forward, and there were excuses at Foss last, because having got a handy position coming round the bend, the horse on his inside did a big wide sweep and took Castle in the Sand quite wide into the straight. So in the circumstances, he didn't run at all badly. There should be improvement to come.
Okay, that's horse number 4. The 9 horse is the next one we can take a look at, Sisyphean.
I've had enough Sisypheans for one day, thank you.
This is a homebred, so never went to the sales. Neil Callan and that man Kevin Ryan training.
Yeah, 2 newcomers have won this race in the last 12 years. It can be done. This lad is really well bred. He's by Dubawi. Kevin Ryan's had 2 winners at the meeting. He's got plenty of useful horses in the pedigree. Let's have a see. Does he have any entries? Yeah, it's a Group 2 entry in the Royal Lodge Stakes. So it looks like he's been showing up well, but it's not easy to offset inexperience in a race like this.
Okay, that's horse number 9. Stall 13 for Sisyphean as well, which might be a little bit tricky. Horse number 8 is the next one that we can take a look at. This is another newcomer. This is Peace Walk, who again is a home-bred by Godolphin, actually, now in the care of Charlie Johnson, owned by Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, the all grey colours. Not a huge amount of support for this one in the market, Graham.
Yeah, we are staring down the barrel of a blank Goodwood and York for the Johnson stable, and that cannot have happened very often, if at all. There's still time, and maybe Peace Walk is the one to break the duck. By Cracksman, who is a pretty good sire, and not as high profile as some of his peers, but he's getting good horses. And this fella is related to horses with some speed. So you've got the stamina of Cracksman, you've got the speed from the Dam's side. So let's see how he goes in terms of his entries. He's got the Royal Lodge entry. You get the picture here. A few of these are pretty well regarded.
Now this is Volterra, who cost 400,000 guineas at the sales. Interestingly, is in the white distinguishing cap there of the Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum brothers, and is not really fancied in the betting, but obviously cost a few quid. Yeah,
Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum is a tremendous character. He's not scared of spending a few quid. 400,000 guinea yearling. By far, that must be the most expensive Son of Far ever sold at auction. So he obviously took the eye in the sales ring. He's looking pretty green here, John, isn't he? The old head's down at a low angle. He's not walking on with any great purpose. He has a look up and his old ears prick. So this is a horse showing, I think, classic signs of greenness in the paddock. Let's see how he goes in the market. But Volterra, in the paddock at least, is looking like his first day at school. It's something of an awakening for him.
Horse number 12 is Thanks Forever, who is a big drifter in the market. This one was only 24,000 guineas at auction, I think, as a yearling. So on that evidence, might not be, or might need to be a bit better than one or two of these.
Yeah, Siblings and Dam, etc. Their ratings start with 50 and 60 rather than 90 and 100. So on pedigree, Thanks Forever seems to be up against it here.
Yeah, and there's drifting in the market as well. Horse number 5 is Dimsons in the Mum's Tipple colours, and well, again, not really doing much in the market, it has to be said, and it cost 50,000 guineas as a yearling.
Again, if you look at ratings from the family, Dimsons is a footsteps in the sand half brother to Freak Out, 80 odd rated horse. Tagallo, 70 odd rated horse. And Hairspray, who was pretty useful, but you generally need a listed Group 3 type of horse to win this, and this is not a pedigree which screams that sort of quality. And again, look at that body language. Head down, ears pricked, slow walk, indicates that this experience might be needed.
Okay, that's horse number 5, Dimsons. Now we move on to the 1, I think, which is Al Wassel. Tom Markand and James Ferguson teaming up. 2 third-place finishes for this horse, but neither came in a particularly good time figure.
Yeah, I wonder about this race. I'm not sure it's got a right lot of depth for the money on offer, John. So we might be able to chisel out a Quinella here. 35 guineas, 2-year-olds, 35,000 guineas, 2-year-old Al Wassel. So didn't breeze that impressively. Third and third, but running to marks of 70, 69 or whatever, that will not get you in the first 4 here.
No, needs to improve greatly to do that. So we've had a look at the majority of them. We move down to horse number 10 now. This is Spirit of Acklam for the Easterbees, and Joanna Mason again with a huge price.
Yeah, that would be a cocky double for Joe to win one and then another. Spirit of Acklam for the Easterbees in the Amity Finance Racing colours. Let's have a look at the pedigree. Cracksman, 27 grand. Pedigree that suggests a bit more time would not go amiss. And if you back Mick and David Easterby's 2-year-olds first time out on a frequent basis, followed them blind, you'd soon be walking around with holes in your shoes.
It'd be interesting that they've decided to debut this horse in this particular race, but maybe just a bit of box company for the horse that just won earlier on. Now this is horse number 3, which is Bulmer Bank, again for Mick and David Easterby, and again a big price with David Allen aboard. 3.5 lengths behind Angel of England, who we saw the other day.
Yeah, Angel of England didn't really polish that form yesterday, and 2 runs. Pontefract, Nottingham, both over 6, maybe 7 will be a significant help. It absolutely needs to be, because Bulmer Bank looks more of a Carlisle horse than a York horse at the moment.
Okay, that's Bulmer Bank, we're getting a second look at there. As
quite shallow this race, John.
Yeah, it could be, especially given there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of support behind any of these newcomers.
John, you generally have to run 90 odd, mid-90s to win this race. How many of this lot, in terms of pedigree, profile, paddock appearance, are ready to run into the 90s?
Not many. This fella, Ever Driven, was fourth behind Watch My Tracer, who is now rated 97, beaten 6 lengths by Watch My Tracer, Ever Driven, but it was a decent effort and one that can be improved upon.
Better chance than most, I think.
Yeah.
He is a brother to Ever Given, who won a good race. He won the big sales race here a couple of years ago. So he's got a York pedigree, he's got a useful pedigree, and the Windsor race he ran in first time, first of all, wasn't bad at all, and he stayed on really well over sprint trip, 6 furlongs. So I think more to recommend him than most, number 6, Ever Driven.
Yeah, he's a big price as well. He's a huge price, 50 to 1. I think that's might be a bit of a blot. Not saying he'll win, but I think he'll run better than that. So they make their way down to the 7 furlong start, and certainly, I mean, if you want to go on the most recent franking of the form, Zane Blue's the horse to be on here, given the way things have gone for that Newmarket maiden. And
seen them all. We've seen them all. And I'm more. I was interested in this race to begin with. I'm more interested now because paddock, profile, pedigree, market signals. This is normally a good race, John. It normally has a handful of horses who are going to nudge the 100 barrier in time. And if you have a look at the Roll of Honour, Desert Order, a pretty smart horse. Huya Mal finished second in the Derby, I think. Naval Crown won a Group 1. The Diamond Jubilee at Royal Ascot. Malatham was well over 100 rated horse. Rivet, the less said about his Hong Kong career, the better. But he won a Group 1 in the autumn here as a 2-year-old for Haggis, the Old Racing Post Trophy. Some good horses have won this race in the recent past.
Yeah.
I can't see too many in this race who are going to be contesting group races this year, and that makes me more inclined to think that we can go with a bit of enthusiasm here on 13 Under the Sun. I know you like 15 Zane Blue, and I like Kings Valley as well, so they're my two for what it's worth. 13 and 7 Kings Valley, and I wouldn't put anyone off either of those pair in the Win and Quinella markets.
Okay, making their way down to the start. Still got one more race to come after this, and then we're done for the World Pool here at York this week. It's been really enjoyable from start to finish. Of course, Mostadaf winning the International on day 1, and almost bookending it with that tremendous victory for Live in the Dream in the Nunthorpe. But still got a couple of, hopefully, attempts at winning a few quid. There's one taking quite a pull there down to start. And it's the 4 horse. Go on, Graham.
Started the day with talk about a potential long list of stories.
Yeah.
And we've had them, but just not quite the stories I suspected. One that we knew it was in the offing, was Paul Hannigan's departure. Yes, he didn't win on his final ride. That's academic. The wellspring of affection and respect for him, beautiful to see. It makes you quite proud to be involved in this sport, and this sport can sometimes make it tricky in that regard.
Yeah.
But the other stories, from a romance point of view, how can you beat a blazing front runner making goal to be a champion, Highfield Princess, ridden by a young lad who's only just out of his apprenticeship, Sean Curran, and trained by a relatively small Epsom handler, Adam West, who looked absolutely startled to have won that race. But hats off to him. He's got Breeders' Cup aspirations. And then Jo Mason for her granddad Mick. Mick, he's 90 odd, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not 80 odd anymore. And Jo, a vibrant young female jockey who always adds a lot of happiness and positivity to any occasion. So really good stories. All the right notes, John, just not necessarily in the right order.
As someone once famously said, down to start and circling for this convivial maiden. They'll be going behind very shortly. How's the market looking in Hong Kong? This could be an interesting one.
Yeah, it could be, because it's a big blank canvas to a large extent, this race, so there might be some overs. Top one, Al Wassel 19,
33 to 1.
Battle Cry 5.7 for Coolmore,
4 to 1.
5.3 now. Bulmer Bank 25,
80 to 1.
Castle in the Sand 10, potential improver,
13 to 2.
Dim Suns 26,
22 to 1.
Ever Driven 26,
50 to 1.
Kings Valley 7.2.
5 to 1.
Peace Walk 20.
25 to 1.
Sisyphean 10.
11 to 1.
Or Sisyphean. Spirit of Acklam 37.
100 to 1.
11 would have been a chance. Superposition is scratched. Thanks Forever 25.
33 to
Under
1.
the Sun 3.8.
5 to 2.
It's the right price. Volterra 21.
20 to 1.
You like this. Zane Blue 9.6.
Very nice. Well, 5 to 1 here, so that's the overs. Definitely Zane Blue.
Yeah, and I think you'd be keener on him now than you were 15 minutes ago, looking at the paddock and the market and the sort of profiles of these horses.
Yeah.
At least one of the unknown quantities is likely to run a screamer, but Under the Sun's already run to a mark pushing 90. Zane Blue not too far behind. If they improve a little bit,
yeah,
they're putting the bar at a pretty lofty level for a lot of these immature horses.
Indeed they are. So they should be making their way behind very shortly. And the final race on the cards before we draw stumps is the Sky Bet Mile Handicap, which is a pretty high quality contest for 3-year-olds, and might be 1 or 2 pointers to maybe Ebor meetings to come. Certainly there were 1 or 2 pointers with Point Linus and Master Richard in the race last year, and maybe there will be this time round as well. Enfjar, though, is a fairly significant non-runner in that, so just bear that in mind. Enfjar will not be running in that final race here this afternoon. They're making their way behind the starting stalls now. And under the
highlight of the day, John, other than the Nunthorpe. The Nunthorpe's obviously the star attraction.
It's a good question. Other than that,
Haggis again.
Coltrane winning the Lonsdale Cup. I think everything went right finally for that horse. He deserves to have won more races than he actually has done. And he's won a Sagaro Stakes. He won a Doncaster Cup as well, beating Trushan in the process last year. And hopefully see him again, probably at Doncaster, and maybe see him again British Champion Stayers as well.
Well, he's one of the kings of the staying division at the moment, but based on what Aidan O'Brien said yesterday, John, the ace is back before too long. Kyprios was the dominant stayer of 2022. He's had an injury, kept him off the track this season, but it seems like he's getting ready to roll again, and he will be a mighty foe for Coltrane and Co if he gets to Doncaster, Longshorn, Ascot in the back end of the season.
Yep, and of course you'll be able to see British Champions Day on the Whirlpool broadcast at the end of middle of October.
Of course, Irish Champions Day, where we might yet to be determined, might see Mostahdaf, might well see Auguste Rodin on the comeback trail again.
Won't have to fly anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's right. Aidan O'Brien has suggested that he might not like flying. The equine equivalent of what's his name, Mr. T.
Mr. T and Dennis Bergkamp.
B.A. Baracus.
Yeah, B.A. Baracus.
Ain't getting on no plane.
Well, he won't have to for the Irish Champion Stakes. And
I will.
Well, yeah, indeed. You'll be joined by Mick Kinnan, won't you?
I think so, but potentially. Yeah, again, TBD, John. To be determined, all these things. But going in one by one, I'm an Under the Sun man, you're a Zane Blue man, and Kings Valley, who's pretty easy to back here, also has the potential to go well. There is solid support for Battle Cry, for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. Hasn't really gone their way with the juveniles this week, has it? Although Johannes Brahms is winner of a good race waiting to happen after that Jim Crack second.
I think he is, yeah. He's a lovely horse, but unfortunately couldn't quite win today. I don't think I'm the first person to be jocked off by Mick Kinnan either. So
yeah, absolutely. And in terms of speed here, it's hard to be dogmatic about speed match, but I think Under the Sun, he showed a really nice, easy-going way about him at Ascot. So with that experience in the bank, I don't think James Doyle is going to complicate matters here. From stall 9, I think we'll see him get right on the engine from the start.
Right, then there are about 3 or 4 left to go, so we can get across to Mike Catterbowl for the call on the Convivial Maiden, the penultimate race on the card.
Just 2 to go now. Dimsons will be the last into stall number 5, ready to go. And they're off. Racing away. Kings Valley just darted out to the right then from his outside draw and is just being shuffled along early on for this British EBF 40th anniversary convivial maiden, the richest maiden in the land here with £100,000 in the pot. Ever Driven is amongst the first two here, together with on the inside Thanks Forever. Right behind them, the favourite Red Jacket is Under the Sun. On the inside then is in the blue and yellow spots, that's Castle in the Sand. Battle Cry alongside him there as well. Zane Blue's got a good position, just chasing up the leading 6 or 7 or so. On the outside is Al Wassel in the white jacket. On the inside, the white cap there, Volterra. Stable Companion Sisyphus is next with Kings Valley on the outside, flanked by the Easterby runners. On the inside there is Bulmer Bank, and just driven along is Spirit of Aklam. I'm afraid that one is tailing off. Peace Walk is the one that doesn't seem to be going the gallop. They're racing down the home straight now, down to the walls, the final 2.5 furlongs here. Just in front, Thanks Forever, taken on now by Battle Cry on the inside there. Ryan getting into top gear. On the outside, Under the Sun is driven hard but not picking up. Behind them on the inside, Zane Blue is making some late progress. Sisyphus down the centre is trying to get on terms as well, but inside the final furlong they come, and Battle Cry and Ryan Moore just ahead of Thanks Forever and Jason Hart inside the final 100 yards. Running on, Volterra behind them. Battle Cry goes on to win the convivial maiden. Aidan O'Brien's first win in the race. Zane Blue just second. On the far side, Volterra, and then Thanks Forever in fourth.
Battle Cry has won. Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien have landed the convivial maiden here in pretty good style in the end. The fast finishing Zane Blue has taken second place. I think you'll find third goes the way perhaps just of Thanks Forever, ahead of Volterra, the far side, who shaped nicely on debut, and Sisyphean, this near side, looks to have run fifth. But a rather interesting race, plenty to pick out of the contest. But Battle Cry has managed to go and land the spoils here in the all navy blue colours. That was his third run, so a race where you did need experience, and the first two home both had runs under their belts.
Sing away. Kings Valley just darted out to the right then from his outside draw and is just being shuffled along early on for this British EBF 40th anniversary convivial maiden, the richest maiden in the land here with £100,000 in the pot. Ever Driven is amongst the first two here, together with on the inside Thanks Forever. Right behind them, the favourite Red Jacket is Under the Sun. On the inside then is in the blue and yellow spots, that's Castle in the Sand. Battle Cry alongside him there as well. Zane Blue's got a good position, just chasing up the leading 6 or 7 or so. On the outside is Al Wassel in the white jacket. On the inside, the white cap there, Volterra. Stable Companion Sisyphus is next with Kings Valley on the outside, flanked by the Easterby runners. On the inside there is Bulmer Bank, and just driven along is Spirit of Aklam. I'm afraid that one is tailing off. Peace Walk is the one that doesn't seem to be going the gallop. They're racing down the home straight now, down to the walls, the final 2.5 furlongs here. Just in front, Thanks Forever, taken on now by Battle Cry on the inside there. Ryan getting into top gear. On the outside, Under the Sun is driven hard but not picking up. Behind them on the inside, Zane Blue is making some late progress. Sisyphus down the centre is trying to get on terms as well, but inside the final furlong they come, and Battle Cry and Ryan Moore just ahead of Thanks Forever and Jason Hart inside the final 100 yards. Running on, Volterra behind them. Battle Cry goes on to win the convivial maiden. Aidan O'Brien's first.
Yeah, Battle Cry for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. We're a bit dismissive of that down royal form. He's probably not in the first 11 at Ballydoyle as far as the 2-year-olds are concerned, Graham, but maybe he's somewhere in the second 11. He's not too bad.
Yeah, I didn't read that race particularly well at all. First point to mention, left of picture, Kings Valley missed the break badly, jumped the road, didn't give himself much of a chance. Second point to note, Battle Cry is pretty hardy. Used his experience here and just toughed it out. One or two horses served it up to him in the straight, but he just kept finding a little bit extra. So he looks a pretty useful horse. Definitely not in the A-team of O'Brien's horses, but if you're connected with Thanks Forever, Adrian Keatley Racing Jonas Group, you'd be absolutely chuffed with his performance.
Yep, certainly. It was a really good run on debut. And Zane Blue has probably franked that King's Gamble form quite nicely. I mean, it wasn't an outstanding run, but it was a decent enough effort.
Took a little while to get going. He's gaining on quite nicely late in the piece. On the far side with the white cap, Volterra for Kevin Ryan. Super sleepy in the paddock. They'll be pleased with his run. But have a look at this, John. You could throw a medium-sized blanket over plenty of these. I would be inclined to take a fairly low-key view of this race, considering it's worth 6 figures.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how one or two of these develop, but I wouldn't be holding your breath for any absolute top notches, but we will see. I think the fact that Battle Cry was even in this race is probably a good indication that Ballydoyle weren't desperately keen on it, but he might have surprised them here, certainly on the fast ground, which might have helped. So that's Battle Cry, who's won the Convivial Maiden, and there's still one more race to come. 5:15 local time, Sky Bet Mile for 3-year-olds, and we'll be bringing you that very shortly. You got something to say, Graham?
Yeah, it's a race with a handy Hong Kong pedigree that I can remember. Kai Star, one of the better milers in Hong Kong in recent years, chased home Golden 60 plenty of times. He won this race a few years ago, went on to join Tony Cruz and won many millions of dollars. So some useful progressive young horses on show here, and it's a strong race to finish.
Maybe some of the Hong Kong owners and trainers are staying up late to watch the final race on the card here at York. Someone else who's staying up late, it's Nick Child.
Yes, thank you, John. Staying up very late for the third night in a row. It's way past my bedtime, but the show must go on. One more race still to come, 21 minutes out, and we'll get there and we'll enjoy it for the final of 21 races that we've brought you, or will be bringing you, over this 3-day period. But Battle Cry has won this Convivial Maiden. Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore teaming up with the win, and he's clearly progressed well from down roll, beaten half a length there, and son of No Nay Never out of a Dragon Pulse mare, I'll Have Another. Has got the win here, Battle Cry. Really like the run there of Thanks Forever. I think Adrian Keighley's got another decent 2-year-old in his hands there. He's got Ballymount Boy, who we saw run well a couple of days ago. Wouldn't be the greatest shock in the world if Thanks Forever runs maybe in different colours next time, because he's fared very well indeed. Just in behind Zane Blues finished off well, and Volterra I think really could be a horse going forward for the future. He cost a pretty penny, and he might just be a horse that will go some way to repaying that price tag, because he certainly looks as if he's got a bit of an engine. Doesn't look like there's too many other connections there today with the team involved with the Ballydoyle horses, but Battle Cry is not quite keen on a photograph. It goes the way of number 2, Battle Cry, 55.50 and 15.50. The placings there. Zane Blue 15 was second, 24.50, and third number 12. Thanks Forever at $121. Fourth number 14. Quinella 240, forecast 458. The Tiers 15,466. The Trio 3,793. QQPs of 2 and 15, 79.50. 2 and 12, 404.50, and 12 and 15, $537. The first 4, 9,391, and the quartet 146,277 on the quartet there for 2, 15, 12, and 14. Okay, let's take a look at the details for our final race. It's the Sky Bet Mile Handicap, a heritage handicap, this one, and it is, as the name would suggest, over a mile, or thereabouts anyway, 1,582 metres to be precise. You can put a line through the 4 nth jar, doesn't go here, bit of a notable absentee for Roger Varian and David Egan. That one comes out. English Oak is the early favourite currently on the World Pool. Open race to finish, 5.6. Let's have a look at the field. Al Jazeera is Danny Telltope drawn 1. Dear My Friend, some Hong Kong connections involved in this horse, so good luck to all. James Doyle drawn 8. Finn's Charm and Drerit Zaney drawn 9. Nth Jar has been withdrawn. Silver Sword is Greg Sheen drawn the 7. English Oak, Ryan Moore drawn 5. Number 7 is Tafrige for Tom Marquand in 6. Glenn Finnan is Oisin Murphy drawn 12. Catch the Paddy, Neil Callan drawn 3. Modesty is Sean Levy drawn 11. Bajan Bandit, Sam James drawn 4. Power of Gold, Harry Davies drawn 2. Completes the lineup here for the last race. Very open race as well. There's any number of horses with chances. But before we get to that, let's hear from Ryan Moore, who just won the Convivial Maiden on board Battle Cry.
His 4th winner of the week. Well done with Battle Cry. He had to be pretty tough there.
Yeah, he had a couple of runs. He's still very green. He's obviously improving. He got the 7 well. I'm happy with him today. It's always a strong maiden. It's nice that he's won that today.
And is this his trip, or will he get a bit further? He's got that Beresford entry.
Yeah, I think 7's fine for now.
Okay, and reflecting on the 4 winners of the week, which one gave you the most satisfaction?
No.
Just no.
Ryan Moore, fantastic. So we'll play the guessing game as to which winner gave him the most satisfaction throughout the course of the week. But great to hear from him as always. The favourite now has shortened up in the last few moments, just as we took that interview with Ryan, into 3.8. He actually rides the favourite here for Ed Walker. So he might well, his week might well get that little bit better, quite possibly. They've weighed in for the Convivial Maiden, 55.50 and 15.50 Battle Cry the winner, 24.50 and 121 the placed horses, 4th number 14 Quinella, 240, forecast 458, the Tiers 15,466 and the Trio 3,793, 2 and 15 QQP 79.50, 2 and 12 404.50 and 12 and 15 537. First 4, 9,391 for 2, 12, 14 and 15. Quartet, 146,277, 2, 15, 12 and 14. The double, race 5, number 6, race 6, number 2, $494, 6 into 15. The consolation, 58.50. Second double trio, race 5, 3, 6, 8, race 6, 2, 12, 15, $413 there. 1 minute 25.14, 1 minute 25.14 by 1 1/4 and a neck. 1 1/4 and a neck were the margins. Trophy presentation taking place. And we've got some key races upcoming for you ahead of our final race. And I think we're going to start with English Oak.
Trying to quicken from the front, being pressed by English Oak, Al Najm right there on the near side and ranging up with a determined effort. Away to the right then is Modesty. Jeff Coons being stoked up as they approach the furlong, where Al Najm has taken it up from Kiarad. Then came English Oak, Jeff Coons in the clear from Modesty, King Lear from the back. It is just in front, Al Najm, but King Lear, and running on the far side, Jeff Coons.
Here comes Just Janet, the 2 shades of blue towards the far side with an effort. Down the near side, Sydney's Sun, the green jacket also starting to pick up. Bajan Bandit with Reginald Charles. Dartman, Just Janet in the centre. Craven still trying to stay on between horses with Pocket the Packet on the far side trying to run. But up front it's Bajan Bandit who's gone to the front. Giving chases Reginald Charles and then Craven over on the far side. But Bajan Bandit has the lead and Bajan Bandit will win the finale to Craven in second. Reginald Charles for third.
The rear of that far side group, Sudden Ambush together with Arcouve and Lose Your Wallet, who's looking now for a little bit of racing room. Down into the dip with a furlong and a half to go. Bo Pedro in the ghostly white colours comes through out of the gloom to lead. It is Bo Pedro who now goes on to Sudden Ambush, who's there with every chance. And they're inside the final half furlong. Bo Pedro's lead is now nearly a length, racing up to waterline. It is Bo Pedro in front, Sudden Ambush in second. It's tight third.
Yes, they were a look at the key races then for our final contest upcoming. And Ryan Moore is on the favourite, that is English Oak. Bajan Bandit, though, 2 wins in 4 starts this season latterly in 1400 metre handicap here in July. Off a £7 higher mark now, but could still improve. Best on good or fast ground about the Bajan Bandit. Grant Tour, this horse's trainer for Ambrose Turnbull, who has had some nice horses down through the years. I'm pretty sure he owned a horse called Jardine's Lookout, who was a very good stayer of yesteryear. And obviously Jardine's Lookout has a Hong Kong angle to it, of course. Yeah, he did indeed. Jardine's Lookout won a Goodwood Cup with him back in 2002. Super horse. He was good stayer. Alan Jarvis trained him. He actually won 4 races, but he was quality. And if you've never been up to Jardine's Lookout, it's well worth a hike. Good view from up there as well. Anyway, I digress, but he will carry the silver and red colours of Mr. Turnbull, so good luck to him. And he's got a chance here with Bajan Bandit in the last 14s, 15s, now up to 16s on the World Pool. So he's a fairly decent price, about a very lightly raced horse who does look to be improving, but as you saw on that graphic, has got an extra £7 to contend with. I think Silver Sword's a chance in this. Dylan Kuna is a young trainer, I say young, new trainer more so, to the UK, South African Dylan Kuna. Trains in Newmarket, but he's doing a really good job with his string, and this horse last time out ran at Goodwood on that soft ground. I think he's going to be much better suited to the quick ground. He actually won on quick ground at Pontefract when beating Star Player well by 3 1/4 lengths. Greg Sheen is a South African jockey with a lot of experience, and he will be on board this horse. There are reference odds on screen for you as well. Bit of a comparison. The Toppy Al Jazeera is plenty short enough here on the World Pool. 29s in the UK. You're also getting a bit of overs about Dear My Friend, who's only 9.5 in England. The favourite, horse number 6, currently 5s over in the UK, is actually joint favourite here with horse number 7, that is Tafrij, and there's a bit of discrepancy in their prices across the World Pool as to one or two others, notably Bajan Bandit, only 12s in the UK, 16s on the World Pool. But there's Catch the Paddy, and he'll be partnered by certain Neil Callan as we go back to York for the final race and rejoin Graham and John.
Yeah, welcome back for our final race of the 3 days here at York for the World Pool 2023. Catch the Paddy is in shot, horse number 9. This horse was 8th in the Gimcrack last year and ran well here at the start of the campaign at the Dante meeting. Not so good recently. He's had a wind up, Graham.
Yeah, there's a break in his programming, and there's been a treatment, a breathing operation. So Connections clearly thought that something was stopping him giving his best. Poor at York 2 starts ago, not disgraced at Haydock, breathing treatment and up in distance, Sean. If you have a look at the pedigree, by No Nay Never, there's a bit of stamina on the female side, but a couple of minor questions to answer. Break and longer distance today.
It's horse number 9, Catch the Paddy. Horse 5, the next one to take a look at, Silver Sword, for the South African combination of Dylan Cunha and Greg Chain. Has had 1 or 2 preliminary problems in his races, not wanting to start, but seems to have ironed those out now. Ran at Goodwood last time and a Pontefract winner the time before that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he could sneak under the World Pool radar and run a cheeky race sort of price here. He's a horse I like. You're right, he refused on his first 2 runs. Disgraceful character at the time. Much better now. He bolted up at Pontefract 2 starts ago. You know the Epsom race, he was second in behind Torito. That's good form.
Yep.
Bolted up at Pontefract, and I thought the conditions got the better of him at Goodwood. 7th of 15, beaten a dozen behind Royal Rhyme, but stopped the video 2.5 out. He was going really well. So I think the test of stamina was just a bit too strong for him. I like the combination. He's a really ambitious young trainer, Dylan Cunha, and his South African rider, Greg Chain, is highly experienced.
Moving on to horse number 6 now, English Oak, who just had the 3 runs. It wasn't a bad effort at all at Newmarket last time, and it was definitely the best in terms of speed figures that this horse has produced so far.
This horse is a handsome devil. Wait till you see him side on. He's by Wootton Bassett, and not quite as big as King of Steel, Wootton Bassett star of this season, but he's big and good looking, and he's getting better. I saw him and fancied him when he won at Thirst 2 starts ago. Only scraped home from a horse who often gets beaten at short distances, Mubajar. But last time out, he ran in a very well contested novice race at Newmarket, and he came home well for 3rd. So I'm very happy to believe that this horse is physically on the upgrade. His form is on the upgrade. I think he has a certain Ryan Moore booked. Is Moore looking for a treble today?
Yes.
Mahaba the champ and the last
Battle
winner.
Cry, yeah. This is Tafrij, horse number 7, Tom Marquand and Willie Haggis. What a weekend it's been, or what a week, sorry, it's been for them. decent effort to win at Yarmouth prior to that run at Newmarket last time, which wasn't bad actually given the ground. Good speed figure, and I've got this guy in. I think he'll get a nice setup in the run as well.
Yeah, I think he's a bit better than Newmarket, where he was given quite a bit to do in a race where they didn't go that strong. So he did well to plug on into 4th behind Highbank. Prior to that, it was only a 4-runner race at Yarmouth, but we've touched on it several times. Haggis has his runners prime for York. Tavrij has draw 6, Tom Marquand, and the potential to do better than he did last time.
With the likes of Glenfinnan and Benjamin Bandit in the race to add some speed to it as well. This is the aforementioned Glenfinnan, who did too much too soon on the soft ground at Goodwood last time. The race won by Novus. Prior to that, had led as well at Newmarket, so will definitely go forward. And that York run from last year in the Convivial Maiden was a pretty good effort.
It was very good. 12 months ago today, when he was only been half a length in that valuable maiden. He won next time at Yarmouth. He ran well for 4th on his reappearance, slightly belated reappearance, and as you know, John, I'm inclined to give plenty of horses a second chance for not shining in that testing ground at Goodwood. And you're right, he paid the penalty for going off fairly strong on conditions that taxed his stamina.
Yep, and they shouldn't tax it anywhere near as much this time around. I've got him in the numbers on a minor line. This is horse number 10, Modesty, who is the man of Sean Levy today. It was in that race at Newmarket, won by Jeff Koons, and with English Oak in 3rd.
Yeah, if you watch the video of that race, I think you'd take English Oak. Sometimes the face value result is reflective of what they can do. So as you can see, he's really laid back, he's gleaming, he's shining like a, we're going to say conker, but for the international audience, I'll say horse chestnut.
It's nearly conker season.
Yeah, he's looking really well, but I think he has a little bit to find with English Oak, let alone a few of these other useful milers.
Nick will know what you're talking about. So that's 10, Modesty, waiting for the next one to be seen. Horse number 11, Bajan Bandit, who will probably go on with Glenfinnan as well, was quite prominent in the run when winning here last time. It wasn't a particularly strongly run race, so he was in the right position tactically. Might get a bit more pace pressure this time, Graham.
Yeah, I think he will. But he's been a handy horse for a capable Yorkshire trainer, Grant Chewer. It was 7 furlongs last time, but I think he'll stay a mile all right. It's just a question of whether, having gone up £7 for that 7 furlong win, can he continue his improvement? Uncomplicated, progressive, course former plus. Just a question of whether the £7 hike is something he can cope with.
Horse number 12 is Power of Gold. Harry Davies and Hugo Palmer teaming up. Ran on the all-weather at Newcastle back on the 29th of July. That was in the Beeswing Handicap, which is a pretty decent race up there. Finished 4th, not beaten far. Last seen on the turf on a fast service at Doncaster back in June when winning, Graham.
Yeah, I think he's just consistent, this fella, on good to soft ground, on fastish turf, and on the all-weather. So a fair amount to like. 1 from 8. But he's a bit better than that because he's got several places and a couple of good 4ths recently. He wouldn't be my top choice or my second choice, but he's not a forlorn hope from the bottom of the weights.
He's drifting a bit in the market, Power of Gold. Back to the top we go. Horse number 1, Al Zahir. Get it right, Blancy. David O'Meara trains this one for the first time. Daniel Tuddup aboard. Huge price given the connections.
Yeah, but the profile, I haven't got accurate data to hand, but David O'Meara buys a lot of horses in the transfer market from other yards. Yeah. This one's come from the Gosdens. He cost, let me see, 82,000. So, you know, they're looking for a horse who, what we might call a Saturday horse here. But from a mark of 100, John, after a near 5-month layoff, it wouldn't be the normal template for the O'Meara stable to strike quickly with a new purchase like that. There's generally a getting to know you period and maybe a period where the horse dips down the rankings a little.
Horse number 2 is very interesting. Dear My Friend, into Handicap Company for the very first time. Ran in the Derby, was 13th, and ran in the Dante as well, 8th behind the Foxes. Interesting to see where this one's at in Handicap Company, Graham, off a mark of 100.
Yeah, there is a Hong Kong connection. Dear My Friend is the name of a famous canto pop song. And he has Hong Kong connections within the Middleton Park Racing Syndicate who own him. And look at him. He's an unusual youth, this horse. He is, the phrase I would use is raw-boned. He's tall, he's unfurnished, he's a bit spindly, but he is able, very able when he's right. He started the season with a good listed win at Newmarket. The Dante was a bit too hot for him. The Derby was most definitely too hot for him. And at Royal Ascot last time, he just did not run his race at all. So a bit like quite a few other Johnson horses coming into Goodwood and York, the profile is, it's hardly linear, is it?
This is Finn's Charm, who was behind Pedro last time out, that really tough handicapper when running at Newmarket over the 8 furlongs. Probably go into a pretty prominent posse, this horse. Charlie Johnson trains, and as you've said before, they're not having the greatest week, the stable.
No, and look at the profile of the horse. You cannot tar them all with the same brush, but consistency is not the hallmark of some Johnson horses, and it's good in the German Guineas, bad in the Britannia, bad at Goodwood, good last time. So it's good, bad, bad, good, and I'm not sure exactly what to expect from Finn's Charm today.
Okay, and that's Alza. No, yeah, it is Alza here going down. So I think we've seen just about all of them here. Horse 4 is the one we haven't seen. Sorry, 4's a non-runner. Yeah,
that's why we haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's why we haven't seen. We never see a non-runner. But there we go. So I think those that have run, we are running, Graham, we have seen.
We have. So we can broaden the conversation a little. I've just been popped out for a couple of minutes, picked up a coffee from the media room. Salute to the staff in there. They've done a fantastic job this week, and the food has been delicious. Hats off to York and all the staff working there. Picked up a little coffee just to wake me up before the last. And it is golden out there. It's just a really lovely atmosphere. Tomorrow is a big day, Ebor Day. It's not a Whirlpool Day. It'll be packed here. It's more of a larrikin day tomorrow, isn't it? There's a lot of groups, young people dressed to kill, male and female, who will be on it from an early stage. Today, there's a lot of groups of people around, generally slightly older demo, really chilled, some music playing. Sun shines there, it's nice and warm, late summer. We won't get too many golden days like this unless we're lucky through September. Great shot of the racecourse there. Crowds are not as high as they used to be for Ebor week, but you take what you're given, and what we're given today is a spectacular day's racing with some very unusual stories, lovely weather, and it's a treat to be back at York.
English Oak is one of the leading contenders in this final Whirlpool race this afternoon, trained by Ed Walker, and we can hear from him now.
Can we start actually with the Nunthorpe, because you must be delighted with the run of Makarova finishing 4th.
Yeah, thrilled. I mean, it's a huge result to be 4th for owner breeders Jeff and Phoebe Hobby. Inexpensive mare they bought, and she's done really well. This is the second foal out of the mare, and she's a listed winner, Nunthorpe placed. That goes in the catalogue, so it's a really big result.
I haven't seen a replay. How did it pan out?
She ran great, actually. I mean, given that in the King George at Goodwood, she looked totally outpaced. Just couldn't go the pace early on. It's off the ground, and running down that hill maybe didn't suit, and better surface here and flat track. She jumped and travelled much better than I expected her to in this grade of race. So I was kind of quite positive from halfway down, because I was expecting her to be slightly off it and then finish. But she was sort of, bang there, and I knew she'd stay well. So mid-race, if you asked me, I'd have been quite positive. So very, very happy.
English Oak, I thought, looks a picture here. What do you make of the mark?
Yeah, he's a fine-looking horse. He's an expensive yearling. Taken a load of time, just a big frame of a horse, but he's really coming to himself now. I was a bit disappointed with the Newmarket run. I know it was a tough novice that, with a penalty. It's never easy. It was a strong race, and he maybe didn't come down the hill great. This is much more his cup of tea. I hope he's quite a bit better than his mark. We'll see, but he's still a work in progress. But I'm not saying today's necessarily going to be the day, but I hope he can make another big step forward today. So
fingers crossed. Good luck.
Cool. Thanks, Tom.
Interesting stuff from Ed Walker on the prospects of English Oak, and seems to suggest that this course will suit a lot better than Newmarket, Graham.
Yeah, I thought the telling phrase there was that I'd like to think he's quite a bit better than his mark. It's always significant, I think, when trainers say that, than defensive creatures by and large. They always think the handicap has given them a bit too much. But there isn't an experience factor there. So let's keep a close eye. He's a horse I really like. Physically, he knocked my eye out in the paddock at Thirsk, and he took a step forward at Newmarket last time. Touched on the roll of honour for this race, John. It's a handicap, but it's a very valuable handicap, and it comes at an interesting time in the year for potential transfers. Urban Aspect was the horse I referred to, who became Carrying Star.
Yeah.
Do you remember Rifleman? He won this race in the old Coolmore colours, the dark blue, for what was just John Gosden at the time. You'll remember him earlier on in the season. He dumped Ryan Moore on the floor towards the end of the Esher Cup. I'm pretty sure he went to Hong Kong as well. And Nick Child, I'm sure will come back to me on this. He changed his name, but he's done better than all right. He was a quirky character. I'm pretty sure he's with Ricky Yu nowadays. But the horse who was called Rifleman is another winner of this race who ended up in Hong Kong. So keep your eyes peeled here. This race contains the type of horse who might end up on the transfer market in one way or another. One or two won't be for sale. One or two might be. Let's try and sort out who wins it. I'm going to go... It's tough, but from this morning, I quite like the look of Silver Sword win and place here at a price. Shall we go down the market and see if there's any potential value? I would be surprised if number 1 Al Zahir isn't bigger than 13 in the British market.
28 to 1.
Yeah, more than double. Dear My Friend, 14.
17 to 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Money for Dear My Friend, despite the towellings he's had in good races in recent times. Finn's Charm is 17.
25 to 1.
Enfjar is scratch. Silver Sword, he's shorter in the Whirlpool than he is at home. He's 5.9.
Yeah, he's 15 to 2,
yeah. So much for my idea that his connections might make him a bigger prize. He's shorter. English Oak's 4.5.
6 to 1.
Just ahead of Taff Rees' 4.7.
7 to 2.
Glenfinnan is 11.
11 to 2.
Catch the Paddy is 10.
8 to 1.
Modesty is 9.2.
7 to 1.
The Bajan Bandit, not the Bajan Bandit, who used to be a very good staying hurdler many years ago.
Lenny Lungo.
14.
11s.
Power of Gold, 17.
12 to 1.
Yeah, Rifleman was the name of the horse who won this race a few years ago for Gosling. Mr. Ascendancy. Well done, Nick Child. He dug it out in no time at all. 2 wins last term. He'll have made good money in Hong Kong for those. I think they were probably Class 3 wins, if not nudging Class 2. Either way, this is a race with Hong Kong pedigree, and there might be 1 or 2 who, if they can show up well, they might be on the block, on the transfer block. They're about to go in, John. I'll take a minor chance with Silver Sword. What do you like to finish off?
I'm going to go with Taff Rees. I like his sort of pretty consistent profile, and I think some of the fast ground form is good enough to win this. And also, I like the fact there should be a good gallop here. Glenfinnan will go forward, Bajan Bandit will go forward, maybe Finn's Charm and Al Zahir first run for a while will just push the pace a bit as well, and hopefully Taff Rees will just creep into the race. Yeah, it's 3-year-olds, good 3-year-olds over a mile. It's no great surprise that Hong Kong connections will be interested in this contest, and
I don't know what Rifleman cost when he was sold from the Goslin's yard, but what I do know, thanks to Nick again, he's won a Class 3 and a Class 1 in the latest season, and his bankroll so far, and he's still only 5, is $6.8 million, so the thick end of 700,000 sterling. The mighty Kai Ying Star, who was hard and aggressive and consistent and not far from the best milers around in Hong Kong. Let's have a look what his bankroll is. I would be guessing that it's more like 5 or 6 million, maybe more than that, but let's have a look. Kai Ying Star, HKJC, fantastic website. Don't forget, if you're doing your Hong Kong form for the next few weeks, 31 million he's won in Hong Kong, or he won. Going in 1 by 1. Silver Sword, win and place for me. Huge day for Dylan Cunha, who's a young South African handler based in Newmarket, I think, trying to make his reputation. So to have a big winner at the Ebor Festival, he's
doing his thing.
Please, come on, Silver Sword. This is a horse that, as you touched on, John, who refused to race on his first 2 starts of his career, and it looks like
doesn't look desperately keen here, Graham. It's got to be said.
Yeah, it looks like the old black dog is rearing its head here. He's starting to go forward, but he's got pretty hot as well, hasn't he, John?
He has, yeah. Which is, I mean, it's a nice day today, but it ain't desperately warm. So anyway, he is inching closer. But and if he gets in and he gets out, he's got very solid chance, no doubt about it. But this would just be getting a few palpitations at the Dylan Cunha stable. Anyway, they're nearly ready. We'll leave you in the care of Mr. Mike Cattermole.
The cat.
Inching closer. There he goes. That's it. Ready for the finale today. Set and off and racing. And Taff Rees didn't make the best start. He's just dwelt as the stalls open. Then he's going to be held up here. The Sky Bet Mile Handicap, Heritage Handicap. for £100,000 in the pot, and Bayesian Bandit is the first to begin. On the outside, also quite keen to get on with it, is Finn's Charm, Restrained, Silver Sword, wider then to Glenfinnan. Close up behind them on the inside is Al Zahir in the red jacket, disputing fourth place. Then Modesty on the outside of English Oak, who's just been buffeted around a touch there. On the inside of him is Power of Gold, Catch the Paddy next to the rail. Taff Reege is next, and Dear My Friend whips them in as they come round towards the home straight now. So about 6 or 7 lengths between them. Fairly well bunched field then as they come down the home straight. On the inside then it's Bayesian Bandit. On the outside, Finn's Charm in the green jacket for Andrea Azzini. Just poised to strike behind is Glenfinnan for Oisin Murphy. Just getting a little bit closer now. And then Al Zahir on the inner of Silver Sword, the grey, just looking for a bit of room there is Greg Chain. Just manoeuvres to the inside. Behind them is Power of Gold in the blue and maroon colours. On the outside, Modesty is hanging, trying to make a run. Taff Reege behind them, but quite a bit on. Up the inside, Catch the Paddy is trying to launch a challenge as well. A lot of chances, but Silver Sword is the one that burst through, approaching the final furlong and has taken a couple of lengths out of them. Taff Reege is getting going, but maybe too late. Catch the Paddy's battling on bravely on the far side. It's Silver Sword here. Catch the Paddy bearing down, but Silver Sword does enough for Greg Chain and Dylan Cooner. Tight for second, Catch the Paddy and Bayesian Bandit with Taff Reege close up behind in fourth.
Silver Sword, on his best behaviour once they were away and racing, has managed to go on and score for Dylan Cunha. Great result for this small stable now based in Newmarket, and Greg Chain on board, a man with vast experience, has managed to get this horse home. Close go for second, Bayesian Bandit and Catch the Paddy, and just in behind them we had the 7 Taff Reege, who has finished fourth. They were a little way in advance then of Glenfinnan back in 5th place. But interesting old race. There were plenty that were pulling for a bit more rain throughout the majority of that contest and perhaps haven't quite got home. But Silver Sword, he's a mercurial character, but he was on his best today.
Off and racing. And Taff Reege didn't make the best start. He's just dwelt as the stalls open then. He's going to be held up here. The Sky Bet Mile Handicap, Heritage Handicap, for £100,000 in the pot, and Bayesian Bandit is the first to begin. On the outside, also quite keen to get on with it, is Finn's Charm, Restrained, Silver Sword, wider then to Glenfinnan. Close up behind them on the inside is Al Zahir in the red jacket, disputing fourth place. Then Modesty on the outside of English Oak, who's just been buffeted around a touch there. On the inside of him is Power of Gold, Catch the Paddy next to the rail. Taff Reege is next, and Dear My Friend whips them in as they come round towards the home straight now. So about 6 or 7 lengths between them. Fairly well bunched field then as they come down the home straight. On the inside then it's Bayesian Bandit. On the outside, Finn's Charm in the green jacket for Andrea Azzini. Just poised to strike behind is Glenfinnan for Oisin Murphy. Just getting a little bit closer now. And then Al Zahir on the inner of Silver Sword, the grey, just looking for a bit of room there is Greg Chain. Just manoeuvres to the inside. Behind them is Power of Gold in the blue and maroon colours. On the outside, Modesty is hanging, trying to make a run. Taff Reege behind them, but quite a bit on. Up the inside, Catch the Paddy is trying to launch a challenge as well. A lot of chances, but Silver Sword is the one that burst through, approaching the final furlong and has taken a couple of lengths out of them. Taff Reege is getting going, but maybe too late. Catch the Paddy's battling on bravely on the far side. It's Silver Sword here. Catch the Paddy bearing down, but Silver Sword does enough for Greg Chain and Dylan Cooner.
Yeah, the South African combination has proven to be a successful one there in the closing race. Silver Sword, he's a bit reluctant to go in, but no problems in the race itself, Graham.
Great selection by me, John.
You don't want to blow your own trumpet, are you, Graham?
It's nice to end on a winner, and although his behaviour beforehand was a little unnerving, he's clearly a talented horse. Solid form, this, John, isn't it? Because we knew the Bayesian Bandit was in great nick beforehand. Catch the Paddy after a break and a wind treatment was nicely back beforehand. Taff Reege had been in pretty solid form, so don't think we've seen any stars here, and whether you'd be getting the checkbook out to buy for Hong Kong, I'm not sure. Have a good look though at Silver Sword. He travels beautifully. Jockey's fine. I think he gets a little unbalanced briefly because there's a tiny kink there, but he's sympathetically handled. Look at the way the rider is coaxing rather than trying to bully him, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just throwing the bridle at him and say, come on, you can do this. I don't want to force you. You can do it on your own ability. And he's coming back into the winner's enclosure, rather bizarrely, but I kind of like it, to the strains of Swords of 1,000 Men by 10-Pole Tudor, John. That's one for the teenagers.
Well, the DJ's doing extremely well here to get appropriate music to accompany in the winners.
Left of picture, Dear My Friend is so raw-boned, angular. I don't know really why people were backing him, and he's made no blinking impact again. He's a frustrating horse these days. Pace held out fairly well. This grey horse is very talented. Stories today have been tremendous. Dylan Cunha is a name to know. Greg Chain is a South African veteran. Well done to those connections. Thank you everyone for being part of this show. Thank you even more for watching. Well done, John. It's been a really fun 3 days.
Thank you very much. Well done to you as well.
Ebor Festival for another year. That's a wrap.
It is indeed. Good night.
Good night.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, Graham. Sterling work over the last 3 days, as always. And we finished on a high with a well-found winner from Mr. Graham Cunningham there, and Silver Sword too strong. And there's a good close-up there of Greg Shane, just cajoling this horse. He knows the horse well, and I guess it would certainly achieve perhaps little to some degree if he was to bully the horse and get rather physical with him. But a cracking ride. He's a lovely fella, Greg. He's ridden a lot of winners in South Africa. He's ridden all over the world. He's in fact, I got to know him actually. He came to Malaysia to ride once, and he's ridden in Singapore, and I'm pretty sure he's ridden here in Hong Kong as well. So look, he's a man of vast experience, and great to have on board to any horse. $61 the win, 20 the place. The runner up there was number 9, Catch the Paddy, at $36.50. Third, number 11, that was Bajan Bandit at $41, and fourth, number 7, and that was Tafrige in the last. Quinella, $459. The forecast, $871. The TS, 9,183. The Trio, 2,160. 5 and 9 QQP, 146.50. 5 and 11, 177.50. And 9 and 11, $210. Bring you the first 4 and quartet very shortly. Just waiting for those dividends to filter through. 1,587 on the first 4. Those numbers 5, 7, 9, 11. And the quartet, $42,800. 5, 9, 11 and 7. 5, 9, 11 and 7 are the numbers on the quartet. Well, there's a great shot of the winning connections after Silver Sword winning the final race on Nunthorpe Day. Let's have a look back at the feature now, won by Living the Dream.
The blindfold whipped off at the last minute and will be held up here for the Coolmore Wootton Bassett Nunthorpe Stakes Group 1. Living the Dream, pink jacket over on the far side, off to a good start. Highfield Princess in that far side group as well. Macca over there and Regional. Down the near side, that's the 2-year-old Big Evs leading a little cluster there, leading from Equality. Right up next to the rail then is Aesop's Fables. Bradsell is just behind the leading pack with Dramatised, T-Spirit and Twilight Calls buried away by Frankie. Over on the far side still Living the Dream, showing a lot of pace from Highfield Princess, and Queen Me coming there with Makarova. Regional's under a bit of pressure. Bradsell's coming into the race quite stylishly. They're already down to the final furlong here. Spread across the track, Living the Dream, a real trailblazer. He's awash with sweat, but by golly, he's flying. They're all queuing up behind though. Highfield Princess beginning to gather herself. Can they get to Living the Dream? And Sean Curran looks like going to be an all-the-way win, and a surprise in the Nunthorpe. Living the Dream wins it from Highfield.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Sean Curran winning his first group race, and it's a Group 1 as well for Adam West, and the horse now looks set fair to go to America for the breed. It's got to be great to bring him here to Hong Kong, wouldn't it? Obviously that race there was 5 furlongs. The race here in December, of course, is a 6 furlong race, but he is a sprinter with plenty of gate speed and plenty of boot as well. But a wonderful day had by all, some wonderful colour at York for day 3. Hope you've enjoyed the well-pool coverage so far over the last few days. So there's Mahaba the Champ winning. He took our opening race of the day. Ryan Moore's been in good form. Paul Hannigan has retired. Coltrane won the Lonsdale Cup in good style for Team Kingsclere. Andrew Balding and Oisin Murphy teaming up there to go and score. It was another winner for William Haggis on the Knaves Mire as well. He continues in excellent form. And then the Nunthorpe was all about Highfield Princess, who came up second best to a bit of a shock winner of the feature sprint, Living the Dream, who provided a fairy tale result for his connections. So that brings a close to day 3. There's the presentation party. Mike Shinner's there of Sky Bet making the presentation there after the victory of Silver Sword for South African combination Dylan Cunha and Greg Shane. So hopefully we'll get this weighed-in signal very shortly, and you can get paid out, and we do indeed. There it is, $61.20, $36.50, 41 the places. Fourth number 7, the Quinella 459, forecast 871, the TS 9,183, the Trio 2,160. They've weighed in for the last Silver Sword, claiming the 7th and final race of the day. Well done if you managed to find him as well. He didn't want to go into the stalls, but once he came out, he was very good. The first 4, 1,587. The quartet, 42,800. We've got the treble details as well, but we'll bring you those now. Race 5, number 6, race 6, number 2, race 7, number 5, 3,832. Consolation with 9 in the last, 1,101. The double, race 6, number 2, race 7, number 5, $307. Consolation 2 into 9, $105. 136.64 was the time, 136.64. 3/4 of a length by nose, 3/4 by a nose were the distances there for the last race. Well, that brings a close. That brings the curtain down on the Ebor Festival for 2023 on the World Pool coverage here. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found a few winners. We've had some wonderful racing, some wonderful stories as well. Many thanks for watching. Many thanks to John and Graham for their input as well, of course, and all the team that have brought you this coverage. And we look forward to having your company next time around as well. From all the team, it's goodbye for now.
有冇試過有問題想揾顧客服務，但因為好多人查詢而等好耐？有時有問題打電話去又未必係辦公時間。想查詢簡單問題，好似派彩及結果、投注站喺邊，或者馬會應用程式喺邊度下載？而家唔使再